Sonic News! A new show appears! It's super effective! I am SSF. Hi. Pull my finger, please. Please? No? Screw you. I was polite. Ah.
Welcome to SonicLand.
Live from the magnificent state of Virginia, here's your host, the news dude of Sonic Paradox, Sonic Sega Fan, 1991. And hello to everyone out there in Sonic Land, in Segaville, or whatever, wherever the hell it is. Welcome to this, welcome to the Sonic News Show. This tickle in my throat is gonna drive me nuts. Welcome to the Sonic News Show. Actually the final Sonic News Show for a few weeks because of E3 coverage I have in store, but we're gonna get to that later on in the show. But, yeah, I do believe we have yet another guest here in this long trail of guests that have been going on throughout this year. But I do believe this is someone you may very well recognize, considering not only have you seen him at a certain site called the Sonic Stadium, but you've probably seen him face to face at a certain convention called Summer of Sonic. Yes, we have Dreadknux here. Say hi.
Hello. Hey, how you
Hi.
doing?
Not much. We're just doing good here at Sonic Paradox, and I also believe, I not only did mention that he's the founder and current owner of the Sonic Stadium, and also one of the main guys at Summer Sonic. You pretty much were one of the people that organized the whole thing, but I do believe you also, I don't know how well known it is, but I do believe you also have a site called Spong.com. Um,
Yes, yeah. Spong is my professional. I'm a professional video games journalist by day, and Super Land web fan master thing in the evening. So Spong is not a website that I own, but it's a website that I write for professionally, full time. So it's a bit like IGN or Eurogamer or something like that. So
ah, I really should like, I'm surprised the site doesn't get more viewers, cause visitors, cause I know it has to be a great site, cause I mean you're the one that's running it, so.
stop, you're making me blush. Uh, I do wonder sometimes, do you know what? There should be more people reading this because I'm on it. So
Yes. Well,
no, no. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. I created the Sonic Stadium, which is now well in its 12th year. Creator and organizer of Summer of Sonic convention as well. And you may have seen me kicking about last year at the first Sonic Boom as well. Unfortunately, I'm not Chuck Norris, to reference Chasta 321 in the Sonic Paradox live chat. I deeply apologize.
I do believe you're also the host along with Rory for the Sonic Hour, which is currently down for the time being, but for Sega Sonic Radio.
Ah, the Sonic Hour. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's part of a radio station that I founded. I don't really run it much anymore. It's kind of Blitz Chris, a chap who runs Sega Sonic Radio now, is more involved with that. But I created it like back in 2003 or something random, or 2001. Can't even remember. Called Sega Sonic Radio. That's currently under refurbishment. So it'll be
Yeah.
another couple of weeks before we kind of get that back online. The reason we decided to kind of close that for a short while is because we've got a separate website for it as a kind of mini site, as a separate entity to the Sonic Stadium, and we really wanted to make sure that it kept that. I think it's kind of dead, the solo site for SSR. So what we want to do is kind of revitalize it a bit and kind of relaunch it and kind of get it to be more of a site that covers Sonic music as a kind of general thing in its own right, rather than it being a tiny part of a category that's covered on TSS, you know.
Yeah.
So because Sonic music, the music is awesome, isn't it? I mean, just generally, it's wicked, and it's one of the biggest things that defines a Sonic game. Really, I mean, everyone remembers the Crush 40 songs and June's music from Sonic 3 all the way to Sonic 4 Episode 2. So yeah, it's just basically relaunching it to kind of focus more on that side of things.
Yeah, it's pretty fun um how Sega Saturn Radio has gone, how far it's gone so many years. And I do believe just before I had known about Radio Sega, it was Sega Saturn Radio that I started hearing, and I have heard it ever since because I still believe I remember that one moment. I still remember that moment when the Sonic Hour was taking place, and it's just so funny considering how random and true it is. But it's I remember during one Sonic Hour when you were live, and I was in the chat, and you were reading off the list of people who were there. Um, you got to my name, which was displayed as SSF 921, of course. But I remember looking you commenting about it, and it was like that is the most unoriginal name I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah, Sonic Hour is just it's just an hour where me and my brother Rory can just kind of goof off. Really, we don't mean any harm. We just kind of we look at things that we see on the internet or whatever, the news that's happened over the past week in Sonic, and we just kind of go, "What the hell is that? That's stupid," or just the first thing that pops into our head. And it's funny. We do have like competitions. We've been doing it for like 6 7 years now. I think we were the first. The Sonic Hour was pretty much the first, if not one of the first, live radio Sonic internet broadcasts. Like that actually had a kind of syndication series or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Our first recorded episode was December 2003, and we've been doing it every so often whenever we feel like it, essentially, for about 7 8 years since. That's on hiatus as well. But one of the things that we kind of do is an annual sort of competition. One last year, I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before. Time's gone so fast. We had this competition for TSS's anniversary, and we just had a lucky dip. I bought loads of random prizes and crap prizes and whatever on eBay, and just had it all in a pile in my room. And we said the week before, okay, if you want to win a prize, send us an email saying you want to win a prize. It's lucky dip, so you get it chucked into a hat and pulled out in a hat and whatever random. You need to give us your name, your mailing address, and your email address, and you needed to give all of those things out. Normally, I don't ask for address, but the
Yeah.
reason we did is because we had a range of booby prizes, and we didn't want to have like, oh, Jeremy whatever wins this really crap Sonic game, and he'll turn around and go, I'm not giving you my address because I don't want it. I got the crap prize. We'd already got their address, so they'd be getting
Hmm.
it whether they want it or not. And we had this really crap prize, Sonic pants. We had a pair of 3-year-old boys' pants, which on eBay you can find these really bad homemade things. And this pair of pants just had a picture of Sonic Heroes, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, just official art in a blue square, ironed on the front of these tiny, tiny whiteys. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like 50p. I'm going to buy it. And just that whole show was mental because we would pick your names out of the hat. But in the IRC chat room that we have, people were just going, oh, Sonic pants. I want the Sonic pants. So it was stupid. It wasn't so much a hat that we were plucking names out of either. It was almost, it was like a bin bag. And we had people say, we ran out of prizes. We were like, that's it. We're done. See you later. And people were like, no, give away the bag. Give away the bin bag. So we gave away the bin bag. And yeah, it was just a bit weird. So we're a little bit mental, mostly because we are mental, but largely because the people who listen to our show are absolutely mental as well. So it's not our fault entirely.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't think anyone knew that Sega Sound Radio may be coming back up in a couple of weeks, and um,
Well, we never strictly said it was dead. We've always said it was going on hiatus. So
yeah,
um,
they just didn't know when it would be out of that hiatus.
yeah, the reason the reason we kind of set it up like that is because we wanted to, like I said, revamp the website. So we thought, well, how best are we going to go around that? If we close off the website and say, hey, we're revamping the website, check back soon, that's not really going to have much of an impact because no one goes on the actual site anyway. They'll just be listening to the stream via other websites. So we figured if we cut the stream and the live shows and everything and just kind of said, look, we're all working on this together behind the scenes, then people will turn their heads and go, they're cutting off of my Sega Sonic radio. What is this? So they'll actually in that accent as well, apparently. So they'll actually turn heads. It's kind of a, I don't know. It's a hype machine thing. I feel quite embarrassed to have revealed that. But no, essentially, it's just a way of getting people's attention. How do you revamp a website? Well, you shut everything down, you work on it really hard, and you make it better than ever before. So that's what we're doing. The reason as well, it hasn't really been finished yet. It could have taken a while, but I'm doing the majority of the site work, and my time's split up between my job, that obviously Summer of Sonic, which is now increasingly taking up more of my time this next month or so, and
Yeah,
all this other stuff. So yeah, it will be up soon, but just soon. That's why we don't have a date. It's up to me finding 10 minutes.
yeah, it's already spreading on Twitter that, oh hey, Sega Sound Radio's gonna be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oops. I have to make time for a social life as well. Otherwise, you just go mad. So it will it will be back.
Yeah, I don't want to actually say on Twitter, oh hey, guess what? Sex Out Radio's gonna be back in a couple of weeks.
It's on you. It's on you then. Then
Yes.
if we come back, I might actually just do that. I'll let you say that, and then I just won't relaunch the site at all. I'll just I'll just leave it dead. And if people ask me, I'll be like, no, you need to blame SSF 1991. He's been spreading lies. I won't do it because I'm not a nasty
Oh man. But yeah, it sounds to me like everyone's really hoping Sega Sonic Radio will be back soon because they do miss it, and especially Turbo really wants to be back on Sega Sonic Radio as well because he's been kind of having to deal
Yeah,
with being on Radio Sega for the time being, and I'm sure he wants to be back at his own little home that he's
sure.
so used to being on for so long. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm always talking to the SSR DJs, livecast DJs like Turbo and that. And I love Radio Sega. It's pretty much it's pretty much the only home that could really be appropriate for shows like that. If there's no Sega Sonic Radio, where'd you go? The only answer is Radio Sega. It's a brilliant radio station. Gavi does a fantastic job on it. But on the other hand, there isn't. There's always a place that you call home, isn't there? And
yeah,
I love John to bits. I love all the DJs to bits. We're trying to get the things back up, and it's surprising actually just how much of an impact SSR has had in general. Really, people say that I created TSS and that's quite big, and Summer of Sonic and that's quite big, but I also created Sega Sonic Radio, and in my mind, when I think about what I've done in the community in terms of websites, it's like the big piece of the pie is TSS, a bigger piece of the pie is SSR, and then you got SSMB and Sonic Site Awards and other things that I've done in the past, and then SSR, it's actually achieved more than I actually, in my mind, give it credit for. Sometimes I'm like, it's funny how it all. I guess it's appropriate to talk about the history of it. I guess because we're on a radio show, but
yeah,
when I started Sega Sonic Radio, it wasn't called Sega Sonic Radio. It was it had a really crap name actually. I'm quite embarrassed. It was one of two ideas three actually ideas I came up with in 2001 when the Sonic Stadium was still quite small, and I was trying to think of ways to get the TSS to be quite well known. And SSR was one of those ideas. I was like, well, I see TSSZ that had its place on Zone Radio Network on Emulation Zone. It's not around anymore. Not TSSZ is, but not Emulation Zone. Um, and Emulation Zone had its own radio streaming service, and TSSZ had a part of it. And I was looking at that, and I was like, that's really cool. How do I kind of have something like that, but just with Sonic music? So I kind of thought of this idea for SSR, but it was called, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to say this. It was called Sonic Groove Tunes FM, and yeah, it's really bad. It's cheese as you like. It's cheesier than mac and cheese. Um,
The the
but
the did it?
actually, the tunes in the name as well actually wasn't TUNES like the proper spelling of tunes. It was CHOONS. It was Tunes FM. It was all proper wick, and I named it because I don't know. It's because I'm from Essex in England, and everything's all about the tunes or Go Faster Stripes and Boy Racers. So I guess a name like that would have worked, but it was crap. So I renamed it. Another that was the same year, 2001, when I created Sonic Site Awards as well, actually. And the third one was Sonic. What was it? The Sonic Fan Club. I believe it was called the Sonic Fan Club, and that was a way for me to basically try and highlight fan creations. It was like a subsection of the site where we'd cover fan games, music, interview fan game makers and musicians. I don't know if anyone remembers the legendary MIDI composer John Weeks. He did a lot of really cool. He was very prominent back in like 99, 2000. He's still around,
Wait,
but
wait, John Weeks?
John Weeks, yeah,
Yeah, I do believe he works with one of the our guys at Sonic Paradox actually.
yeah.
Um,
Right. He did like his own kind of MIDI versions of Sonic songs way back in like 99, 2000, and I'm sure he's still doing it. But
yeah, he's doing it with Dr. MacFox actually in collaboration with Dr. MacFox with piano tracks.
yeah,
I believe that actually got featured on one of the songs actually got featured on Sonic Stadium at one point.
that's cool. That's awesome. It's cool to be still seeing names that you saw when you first entered the Sonic community that are still kicking around.
Yeah.
It, it's quite a trip. 12 years. It's you meet a lot of people and online, and due to life and work commitments and stuff, they don't tend to stick around very long, and it's always nice to see people still kicking around from when I was around, like when I
Oh,
first joined.
definitely.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it really helps when you have see people that haven't been, have been around this whole time, still around and having just as much fun as they did when they first started. I mean, it's really cool to see that, not only just seeing them still around, but you can also experience that nostalgia factor too. I mean, for example, I know Sonic Paradox still has a good ways away until they turn 10, well, a few years, 'cause they're technically turning 7 this year, but um, I do believe that those who are around, like in the early times, like hell, even before the Sonic shorts came out, and it was that 2005 to 2008 time frame. Like I said, when the site was just getting off the ground. I mean, it's saying a lot. How much nostalgic some of the guys there must have had at that time frame.
it's crazy. I mean, there are some sites that got quite prominent during 2005, 2006, 7, and I mean, hell, even Summer of Sonic, its first convention was 2008, and now it blows my mind to think that this is the fifth anniversary of the Summer of Sonic convention. And you think, when you put it in those terms, it's like, holy crap, like 2008 was literally 5 years ago. It feels like it was yesterday, like in terms of years. Um, it's so bizarre. It's time is a funny old thing. We all need like a bunch of time stones so we can go back and forth and just faff around with Little Planet. I don't know. Try and or Sonic and everything else. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But
Oh goodness. I mean,
but
it's good to see that Summer Sonic is getting even better, with each passing year. And I know I have plenty of memories of seeing Summer Sonic. Maybe not actually at Summer Sonic because I've been physically unable to, finances and all. But I mean, Summer Sonic itself, I do plan to go to myself at some point in the future. I mean, maybe not this year, but hopefully next year or the year after that. I know Summer Sonic's definitely going to be around for a good while still. Because, I mean,
yeah,
there's no doubt that the passion with you and the rest of the staff is there, and I know the fans definitely have a huge interest in going, and I just don't know how long it'll take before you guys think maybe we should start wondering why we're making the tickets are coming out, going away faster than we're making them. But,
do you know what? I really it's still kind of it surprises me immensely how popular an idea like that has become. Summer of Sonic could not have happened without the team. It's just I created it and everything, but without Archangel UK, who was the conduit between fans and Sega and was also a fan himself. Without T-Bird and Tough, Kira, who joined the team shortly after, Turbo, Blitzchris, Rory, Alan, all the rest of the staff, without those core people and without us having, like a really unified goal to which to do an event like this,
yeah,
um, it just would not have worked. Summer Sonic just would not have worked. And, even the first year, it was essentially just me literally chucking £600 of my own money at a wall and seeing if it stuck. And I just decided one day I'm saving up for a holiday. Do I want to go to the other side of the world and see cool things? Or do I want to take a chance and see, just have a day out with some guys I don't know from the internet? And I thought, well, let's just do the internet thing. It should be good for a laugh. If it bombs, then it bombs. We got this. Anyone who wants to know the story of Summer of Sonic, is quite long. You can check it out on the website or on our
yeah.
Facebook page. But essentially, we got like a place that fit 200 people. And I was like, 20 people are going to turn up to this. We got like a little Mega Drive in a corner. Sega was kind enough by Kevin to Archangel UK, sorry, to bring out a couple of pods up. And we had Richard Jakes quite graciously come over and do a live performance. But I thought, we didn't advertise it. It had his own website and everything. We were just like, yeah, it's here if people want to see it and stuff. And word got around, and even that first year, that was really nice because it was like 300 people turned up. We had trouble fitting them all in, and I was speaking to some of these people, and we were making friends, making brand new friends from, friendships that I have remained, solid. Like I've had 5 year friendships from that one day. They've come every year afterwards and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It,
and I just thought, surely this is the peak of where we kind of end up. Last year we got rid of 700 tickets in 10 hours, and I was like, okay, well we'll get rid of 400 tickets in an hour then, and yeah, they ran out in 3 minutes, and I was done. I literally I had my finger over the button to release those tickets, with B-Man Ian Bennett, who's the tech guy for tech admin for the show. That Sunday was mental. We'd worked really hard on the ticket system, and we were just like, right, are we ready to go? We're ready to go. Hit the button. Just before I hit the button, I thought I had this sense of not dread, but kind of foreboding. It's like, okay, 700 tickets last year in 10 hours. The majority of that last year went in the first 2 hours. So I thought, well, an hour, for 400 tickets is optimistic. But then before they were released, I thought, okay, hang on, I've got a really bad feeling or a really kind of foreboding feeling that these tickets are going to go in like 10 minutes. I don't know what it is, but I think that's going to happen. and they went in 3 minutes, and it's weird. Like I just sat there for like 10 minutes after the 3 minutes ended.
You,
What is going on? I don't understand. This is
like
weird.
like you just sat there for 10 minutes with your mouth wide open like what?
Yeah, to say I was stunned is a grave understatement. Me and Ian, we were just sitting there going, what have we done? You know, the first feeling was just sheer elation. You know, it's just wow, that can't be right. We double, triple checked the entries, and we were like, wow, that's actually legitimate stuff. You know, and then there was this feeling of dread when you realize, uh-oh, I'm going to be fielding customer service for the rest of the day from people who unfortunately couldn't get tickets in time. How are you supposed to get tickets in 3 minutes? But again, how, like, in our defense, nobody could have predicted how popular that could have gone. And, you know, I was just sat there just trying to be as diplomatic as possible. Like, really sorry you couldn't get tickets. But, you know, on the other hand, let's not turn this negative. You know, it's a free event. It's really become popular now through its grassroots movements, through you know, a Sonic fan event for Sonic fans by Sonic fans, supported officially. You know, I think people have really resonated with that, and it's blown up on a level that no one could have predicted. And I was like, well, okay, there's a lot of people who couldn't get tickets, but on the other hand, let's just celebrate the fact that this is an event that's made by average Joes. Like this wasn't an executive in a corporation going, "Hey, do you know what would be really cool if we did a really good event for our Sonic fans?" I mean, even that would have been cool. I mean, Sonic Boom happens, and that's an officially run official event. That's an amazing night. But this
Definitely.
is a completely different level. It's a bunch of fans just taking the initiative, going, "Do you know what? Like, let's just have some fun." And it caught the eye of Sega and all this stuff. And yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's such a fun, and it's going to be great. But yeah,
Yeah.
closing
Uh
isn't good.
I should clarify to those who are watching the chat, if they're expecting any kind of sudden announcement that hasn't been made before, they're probably waiting for kind of a mirage. Because I do believe you have nothing to announce at all right now. And even if
uh,
you did, it wouldn't be on my show because, well,
well,
it,
do you know what? I'd never thought about it. I'd like to, but we have because Sega basically bankroll the whole thing now. We're still the organization of it is Sega handle logistics, i.e., um, hiring things, contacting venues, and paying for things. Most importantly, because we can't, being just fans with no, well, we have jobs, but you know, and we basically just it's great. We just tell Sega what we want, and they just go, "All right, try and do that for you." They waddle off, come back going, "Yes, we could do that for you. That would be wicked." Or they come back and go, "Actually, can we work around that because there's a like a some kind of obstacle in a way? Can we work around it?" So either way, it's a really good dialogue, and because of that, there's an internal kind of announcement schedule that we stick to, which is why we only really announce stuff on the Summer Sonic website and the Facebook page and stuff. So as much as I'd love to announce something, I can't. But I can say that there'll be a pretty big announcement coming in the next day or two. So you should probably
ooh,
look out for that. That would be quite nice. I think people will enjoy that. Um, yeah, that's all
that's
I should say about that. It's
that
good.
yeah, that's another thing I could technically put up on the show, and then you go, oh hey, guess what? It's not happening because SSF said it was supposed to happen, and it's not. What a liar! Uh, yeah.
Yes, actually, I'm totally trying to stitch you up right now. That's totally what's happening.
Yeah. By the way, P actually says Titans Creed, aka well, Project Phoenix, says he wants an announcement that you're the sex.
Oh well, I'm I'm not the person to be announcing that. Really, that's a bit big-headed. I know supposed to be this big-headed, super egotistical knobhead that stomps around on other people's fan sites, but it's not true. Everything I do is just having fun. It's the internet. We're supposed to have fun. We're supposed to enjoy each other's company and shit. I'll tell you what, an announcement. Everyone listening to this show is the sex. You heard it. You heard it from Dreadknux, the great all-powerful leader of the Sonic community.
That's brilliant. Uh, there you go. We are now the sex. We used to be all wax, but now we are also all sex. So,
Oh, waxy sex.
yes.
We can do this all day. I think we can try and, although it would just get kind of weird. But hello to everyone in the chat room. By the way, it's all good.
Yep, I may as well call out who it is. Oh God, this will be a bit. Dr. MacFox is in the chat. We have RGX Supersonic. We have some guy named Sonic Sega Fan 921. Who's that bastard? Oh wait, it's me. We have Anko Pro. We have Chester 321.
Hello.
We have Divine Blue Wind.
Hello.
We have Jadix Lazarus.
Hello.
We have Manager of Crimson Thunder UTFC. I love that name.
Hello.
We have Mario Fanboy 15. What?
Get out. Get out.
We have Master 15. RGX is there twice. God help me, why he's there twice. We have Super.
I think it's just keen.
Yeah, I think he's.
Just keen. It's not altogether understood. Are you a he or a she?
Yep,
Is it he or she?
RGX is a he. He's apparently also twice the sex, considering he's in there twice. But yeah, Super Silver 88. We have Supersonic SJM. We have the Chaos Blue. We have the Skull Wolf, and we also have Titan Screed.
Oh, I don't like him. Yeah. Hello, Peter. Oh no, I called him Peter. I'm not allowed to call him Peter. He doesn't like being called Peter. So whatever you do not call Pete Peter.
Peter.
Really? So anyway, while I hide under a box so he doesn't try and hunt me down. Oh, there we go. Everyone in the chat room's caught up. Yeah, there we go.
What did you do? Now everyone in the chat's gonna call him that.
Sorry. Can't say fairer than that.
Oh goodness. And then I just now noticed that Pete mentioned on Twitter the all-powerful Dreadknux announces I am the sex. I feel special. That's brilliant. It's like nothing is sacred without it getting spread on Twitter now.
No, it's yeah, I don't know.
No,
it's almost as if everyone's listening to things I have to say. That's new. Most people just kind of listen to me and just go, "Oh, you're talking shit. Go away, Sven." I'm like, "All right." This is nice. I like you all. You listen to me.
Don't worry, Pete. We all love you. Oh, I see Wax is here too.
Hello.
Hi, Wax. Why are you still a robot?
You did that as in the tone of the Sega choir just then. The Wax.
Sega.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just realized we kind of have a show to do.
I was kind of waiting for the next bit. Wasn't being rude or being boring. I was just thinking, okay, there's like, yeah. I think you guys are pretty, had enough talking about me, old man Dreadknux, for about a century now. So,
35 minutes.
To be honest, if anyone did a proper retrospective of all the crap I've been through in the community, it would probably be like 5 hours long. So we should probably quit while we're ahead right now.
Yeah, and then Skype becomes a butt as always. Because Pete sent me a message. I'm looking to see what it is. Oh God. Pete wanted me to tell you that you're mean.
Mean? Why am I mean?
I don't
I
know, but he
I'm
apparently
just
you're
a.
mean.
I mean,
I
do
don't
come
know.
on.
Oh goodness.
He's also accepted a challenge of mine, of which I do not remember ever offering a challenge. So I think Pete is essentially just basically. I think he's having another episode.
Nah,
he's
he's kidding
he's having
around.
moments.
Yeah, he's just kidding around.
I
Like a
keyed, I keyed.
yep, about a retrospective foo. Who's a
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't have 5 hours, Pete, for God's sake.
uh, but
Maybe I
yeah,
do.
I do believe. Um, oh, by the way, I did mention that the show is going on Twitter, so if by all means you want to tweet, retweet that by all means.
Not Twitter. Oh my God, dude, you didn't say it was going to be on Twitter.
I didn't say it was gonna be on I not that it was on Twitter, but that the show's live right now, and I tweeted that it's on live here
Mate,
on
that's gonna
Twitter. I was promoting
that's
it.
yeah, but dude, no, seriously, that's gonna be a bit of a problem. I know you mentioned before the show like YouTube and everything else. I was cool with that, but Twitter, honestly, I'm like, you know, not really. Yeah, Twitter, yeah, Twitter and
Who's
shit.
is that you doing all the stars in the chats?
That's really not me. That's really not me in the chat room.
Then who is it?
I have no idea. Why why would I do that? Why would I register an account on live stream and start posting stars? That's like a really good waste of time.
Yeah, might want to ban them, Richie. That is not send by any means. It's a spammer. Um,
Spam, wonderful spam. Now everyone's telling me to shut up. Okay, shut up.
they're saying it's a spammer. Uh,
Well,
thanks, Richie.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
no.
know what the hell happened there.
Dreadknux has been banned. You gay.
Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah, just to clarify, that's not really the real Dreadknux. If it was, we'd know. But no, he's right here in the call with me. That sounded so wrong, but yet so right.
I can't actually multitask, so this would be pointless, you know. That's how you know it's not me.
Yeah, I'm actually quite the opposite. Multitasking, I'm very good at.
Oh, are you now? Easy.
Richie, you already know you're twice the sex, so you being top dog is kind of already known. So,
This top 10 newsy thingy thing that you do for the show,
yeah,
do you
we
have like an intro? Do you kind of do a little stupid, nonsensical, like homemade tune, or
I
can we make one up?
I do have bumpers, but if we do want to just make one up right here on the spot, all right.
We just like, I don't know, just make some up like,
Um,
like bum bum ba bum ba 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 ba
and
ba
now here's the show.
Wow. You see?
That's brilliant. And yep, that could be the perfect bumper. And now, here's the show. Uh,
Wow. See? You can just imagine it in your head. It's like Saturday night game show. It's wicked.
yeah, I'm now that has to be yeah. I'm gonna make that a bumper now, an actual bumper. That's brilliant. Oh goodness.
People say nice tune. Nice smile.
Oh God.
Maybe I should put it on Sonic Nice Tunes FM. Oh God, that name.
Yes. watch it get converted to MP3 and played before every
Hey, if
show.
it gets converted, I want credits. I want royalties for this shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll hunt you down like the dog you are. I wasn't talking to you then, SSF. I was just saying in general. You know.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. Oh, goodness. So shall we actually get this started?
If you want, I mean, I'm, you know,
Well, I know it's not really a whole lot of time left on your end, so like I know eventually you're gonna have to go to bed, so
I say that, but you know, I can talk the arse off a dead donkey. You know, uh, it's probably worth actually talking about stuff, though. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I guess it's appropriate that we moved suddenly go from talking about Summer of Sonic and which is going to be mentioned later on in the show anyway, to Sonic 4 Episode 2 because, well, I think it's out. I don't know. I can't quite think of why I'm thinking this, but I get the feeling that Sonic 4 Episode 2 is out. I don't know what's tipping me off of that though.
I,
Um,
I don't know, don't know.
why
I heard
why?
it's shit. The funny thing with Sonic 4 Episode 2, dur, 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 I'm gonna I'm gonna sound like someone who's completely old, crabby, doesn't know what the hell's going on, and is senile and has forgotten his pills. But I really, 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 really like Sonic 4 Episode 2. Like I literally can't. I don't know what's wrong with it. Like I'm seeing fans saying it's really disappointing or it's anticlimactic or all this crap, and I must be missing something major here because I'm not seeing it. I'm just like, this is the game I asked for. This is the game we all asked for. There's some obviously physics engine problems, which is like a relic from the fact that they have to keep the same goddamn engine from episode one. But generally, it's just like, what? Why is there hate for it? I don't. It's quite funny when I wrote my review for Spong and I gave it a 9 out of 10, and people were like, "You sold yourself out. You sold yourself out. You big Sonic fanboy." I'm like, no, that's the big thing, you know. Even though I'm a games journalist, I do talk about Sonic a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
and I'm a massive Sega fan, obviously. So whenever I do reviews for Sonic or Sega games, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because on the one hand, I am kind of the authority when it comes to on Spong, at least. You know, I'm the authority for that sort of thing. So people go to Spong to see what I have to say about it because they think, well, they have some kind of misguided viewpoint that I have, you know, the knowledge to critically gauge games like from Sega on an objective level,
Yeah.
which I do. But then you've got moments like Sonic 4 Episode 2, where when I reviewed it, when I played it, I was looking at it from a critical perspective. I was like, literally, this is a great game. It's worth £10. You buy you. This is it, right? Sonic Generations, fantastic game. One of my favorite Sonic games in years, which isn't saying a lot really, but it's fantastic. But it's 5 hours long. I wouldn't pay 40 quid for a game that's 5 hours for a game that's 5 hours long. I'd pay 10 quid for a game that's the length of Sonic 4 Episode 2. You know,
Yeah.
so when I was looking at it from that perspective, you know, when you review games, you always think, is this a technically accomplished game? Is it fun to play and is it worth your money? And on all those counts, episode 2 wins. So I was like 9 out of 10. There we go. It's great. Um, but when you have reviews that kind of jar with public perception, you know, the Sonic fans or a subsection of the Sonic fans hate the game, and then they read my review, I all of a sudden become, you know, the fanboy that's pandering to the company, and the fact that I was looking at it on a critical professional level is thrown out the window. So that's the danger there. But yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly I don't know what the hell's going on because
I
I really enjoy that game. So
Yeah.
you know,
I enjoyed it too because I remember the day it came out on Xbox Live. I was actually streaming to speed up the time so the wait would be easier. But excuse me, I burped, on Xbox Live when it came out. I got it the day, as I said, the day it came out. Like, literally when it came out, I got it. But I remember playing it. As a matter of fact, I think you and I were playing it around the exact same time. Um, but yes, I stayed up all night because of that. What? I'm obsessed. But yeah, I did get Sonic 4 Episode 2 on Xbox Live, and eventually someone did gift it to me on Steam as well, so I have it on two different platforms now. But I remember playing it, and it was really, really fun.
Mm.
But I really wish they did something with the Red Rings, more to the Red Rings. That's one, like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm working my way through the red rings, but apparently it doesn't give you anything extra if you, apart from an achievement, if you collect them all and complete it. Is that right?
yeah, they're completely and utterly worthless except if you want to get all the achievements in the game.
Well, the thing is about those red rings, I quite like them. It's something to find in a level, but they're not. I appreciate the fact that they did those red rings well in episode two. Um, it's a bit. It sucks a bit. I was kind of hoping there'd be something extra if you got them all, but they did it right insofar as it's one red ring instead of like five in a stage or something. And as long as you're good enough to explore and get off the beaten path a little bit, you can find it. It's not
Yeah,
like Sonic 2 where you have to collect seven of the bloody buggers in a crappily level design stage, and just to get a Chaos Emerald as well. Like an essential part of the game is finding these fucking rings, and it's just like, God damn it, I hate you, dimps. Just
yeah.
go. So I dislike Sonic Advance 2, mostly for that very reason. But yeah, the level design doesn't lend itself very well to hunting those rings down. Like
Yeah, the
even Leaf Forest Zone Act One. Like the easiest stage in the game. The level design is essentially a straight line. Speed and it wins, boost to win. That's essentially where it was born. Sonic Advance 2 birthed the boost to win thing. And because of that, there were areas in that level, if you play it again, you'll see it, where there are big drops or areas that you can't backtrack to. It's not like, okay, there are certain levels in areas in Sonic 1 where you can't backtrack, like the spinny thing in Green Hill unless you're going that fast.
yeah.
But Sonic Advance 2 really went out of its way to make sure that you were always going forward. You were not moving backwards. Exploration was almost punished. Like you had to press the jump button at the exact same time. You had to hit that grind rail at the exact point. If you missed it, you can't go back and do it again because you missed that opportunity and you'll never get it again unless you hit retry. And so I didn't like it essentially. But yeah, there wasn't that at all with because when I heard that there were these red rings in episode two, I just kind of went ugh, because I was like, I'm gonna spend like 10 years trying to look for these arbitrary things for no apparent reason, and I'm a sucker because I'm a Sonic fan. I'll just play the bloody thing until I tear my hair out. And I mean, I haven't got them all yet, but it turns out it's not so bad. It's actually really fun to try and look for these red rings.
The
But that's just me.
the main thing when it comes to the Sonic 4 Episode 2 Red Rings is that really you just need to get accustomed to the flying tag team move. That's where most of the Red Rings seem to be, is in an area where you need to fly to.
Mm,
Although there's only one that requires a different tag team, excuse me. And I think that was in a oil desert, something like that. I think it was either Act Two or one of the. I think it was either Act One or Two, and you had to go up this slide, this oil
mm.
slide. I think it was either no, it was sand slide. I think. In the beginning of the stage to reach a
Oh, hell, yeah, because I've seen that's Act Two, isn't it, or something? Because I've seen it because it's at the beginning of the stage, isn't it? And I've like maybe I'm missing something because do you literally have to go up that oil slide
yeah.
to get?
There's a little platform to just a bit to the east of that slide. What you need to do is you need to do the Super 69 combo to the left, make it go to the left, and then you'll rocket right up the slide.
Oh, oh. See, I
Yeah,
thought it was something like that, but
yeah. There's a little
yeah.
bit of a
So,
platform just to the right. You can't really miss it. It's the only platform you get when you're you'll see it as you're going down the slides, pretty much. But
This is another thing about Sonic 4 Episode 2, actually. A big complaint that I've read online, because I was very, you know, writing reviews is a bit of a is almost is quite an interesting exercise, obviously, because as a professional reviewer, you review a game on critical elements, and you're always going to get either people who agree with you or people who completely disagree with you and call you a faggot or whatever. So it was really interesting that people kind of responded negatively in a way to my, or at least say that heavily disagreed with my Sonic 4 Episode 2 review. But I don't get mad about that. I know that's just part and parcel of my job. But I do find it quite interesting to know what people's misgivings are with that game, because, I don't like to big myself up too much, but I like to think that owning a Sonic fan site and being a massive fan myself, I'd have some kind of finger on the pulse of what makes a good Sonic game. So I was really interested just to find out what people's thoughts were. So I went out and did some research and asked people and all the rest of it. And one of the big things was it was too reliant on, homages and just copying what came before. Like it's basically a recap of Sonic 2 and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's kind of right and wrong in a way. I mean, Sonic 4 in its entirety was always going to be an homage game, like a recap, a best of the 2D games reimagined, for a lack of a better word. I know reimagine's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
imagination.
No, but saying that word just kind of implies that they're trying to redo those games, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get people to get that feeling of the classic games again. But I think they did it better in Episode 2 than they did in Episode 1, because Episode 1 was, it literally was, here's Green Hill Zone, here's Metropolis Zone, here's whatever. I had fun playing Episode 1,
Me
but
too.
there was an element of, okay, I'm literally just playing this boss with a twist. I'm playing this part of the stage, I'm playing this. And sure, you had gimmicks from, past levels in Episode 2, but it was more of a really interesting and more original hybrid. Like you had Carnival Night Zone and Ice Cap mixed into one. You here had Sandopolis and Oil Ocean smashed into one, and you got some really good stuff out of it. Like, and also the Badniks as well. Like some of those are quite genius. Those dung beetles are the new Scorps. Seriously, they are a pain in the ass, but I love it because they're such, they're really well designed Badniks. And they're original and interesting as well. Like the seals from is it White Park, the ice level from it, where you're
Yeah.
underwater. And the kind of seal badniks, which shoot out the sonar waves and then basically knackers itself because it basically ices, it freezes
Yeah.
itself. I'm like, lol, you fucked yourself. It also creates a massive obstacle for you to overcome. And I'm like, well, that's a really cool way of imagining a badnik, and you almost, you get this far in the series and it's been 16 years since a 2D Sonic game, and you think, you look at 3D games and all the badniks are like egg pawns and shit, and you think, well, maybe Sonic Team's lost its touch creatively. And you see these Orbinauts that shoot fire in Oil Desert as well. That's another one. And you just think, okay, there is something there. I'm not going to go out and say, oh, Sonic Team's back on proper form, because I don't know, it would just be remiss for me to say that. But there is a spark left there. There is proof that they can do something. And the Dung Beetles, the Badniks, the really awesome bosses. The bosses are cool. I don't care what you have to say. The bosses are wicked. So you're wrong if you disagree with me on that one. But no, I found it interesting that people said it relied too heavily on rehashing old stuff, and I just didn't see that at all. I saw homages and interesting remixes of what's come before, and that was always the point of Sonic 4 anyway. And I just think that Sonic 4 was basically the episode that Episode 1 should have been, and that's why I think it's good, essentially. But,
Oh man.
But yeah, I should probably stop talking about Sonic 4.
I was just gonna mention that I liked Sonic 4 Episode 2 as well, and I wouldn't consider it the perfect game by any means. I mean, it's a great, fun game, but it could be even better. I mean, but you could say that for just about every Sonic game. The only problem I really have is I don't think I would really consider it 5 out of 10 ratings. I think 7 might be minimum, like might be the best rating. A 7 out of 10, maybe even an 8. Not sure, but anything lower than a 7 is kind of surprising. Will be surprised to me.
That's fair enough. I mean, some might say that my 9 out of 10 is way too high for that game, but on the grounds that it's a downloadable game, it betters episode one in almost every single way, which was, regardless of what the fans may think, very critically well received. I just don't understand where critics are coming from, because almost across the board, Sonic 4 Episode 1 was hailed quite in high regard. Like Eurogamer's review of Episode 1 was 9 out of 10 or something like that. And that was pretty much the standard. And you think, well, if a game comes out a year or two after that game, which pretty much improves on it in every single way, either one or two things happens here. Either Sonic, either they realize that they've made a massive error in reviewing episode one and they have to revise that, or they have to basically put their review into context and say, right, this is a sequel of something we've already reviewed. It's better in every single way. There's no arguing that. How do we approach this review? And time is a factor. You can have a game that's better in its sequel than the original in 5 years after, but expectations may change and stuff. That's a valid comment to make, but I would argue that with episode 2, that only came out a year and a half, maybe 2 years after episode 1, and I don't think time-wise there's enough time has passed to say, okay, our expectations have moved on. This isn't good enough anymore. It's more than good enough for £10. It's more than good enough lengthwise.
Yeah.
And everything. So I think if anything, critics may have something to answer for there. If they're giving Sonic 4 Episode 2 5 out of 10s, and yet the general consensus is that Episode 1 is worth a 9, I think there's a question to be answered there from a critical perspective. So, if you always thought that Episode 1 was rubbish and then you thought, well, Episode 2 is better, but it's still not quite good enough, then fair enough. But it's not really a very valid, not really a very valid argument in that sense of the word.
Yeah, that's really the main problem I have is that some of the ratings these critics are giving are really, really bleh. I mean, yeah, I remember that moment, Richie. I remember when there was a score that came out for Unleashed that was even worse than '06. That was IGN's score, I believe, for the what was it, the Xbox 360 version?
Mm.
Yeah,
That's interesting, though. The IGN score is interesting because, I mean, I have to say I'm not a fan of Unleashed generally. I mean, I tried playing it the other day, and I just could not play it. I seriously I felt like I completely sucked at life and games because I couldn't play it at all. I couldn't get past half the shit that was in that game, and I was even playing Windmill Isle, and I was like, what the hell? When I first played this game, I kind of got into it and could do all this stuff, but there's too much going on and stuff. And I would agree that Unleashed is pretty worth a 6, but interesting that it got less of a score than IGN. I would say that maybe the time being a factor actually counts for that, because even though it's a sequel of sorts, I guess, to Sonic 06, it's not quite. It takes a completely different kind of angle. That was a really odd time, I think everyone will agree, for the Sonic franchise. Every single canon Sonic game was trying a whole new approach. Nobody seemed to know what Sonic was after Sonic 06. So they just tried to basically fling shit at a wall and see what stuck. And Unleashed was one of those ideas. It was a valid, quite an honourable idea, but it just didn't work. And I think when you're a consumer and a reviewer, doesn't really matter who you are. If you're a gamer and you look at the Sonic franchise and you see, okay, Sonic 06 is a broken game. If it was fixed, it might have been at least passable, but I would disagree. But at least it could be passable. You could argue that. And then you got Unleashed coming along, and it completely flips your entire concept of what a Sonic game is. And you're playing it, and you're like, "Oh crap, this is going way too fast. Why am I pressing bumpers? What's going on here?" And at this game, what the hell's the werehog? So I think there is that approach, and I think from IGN, I'm not that I'm defending IGN. I'm just saying from a critic's perspective, that could have been a factor. The franchise changing and not knowing what it was, and hitting on yet another hurdle of quality. I mean, Unleashed was actually well produced. It just wasn't very fun to play, in my opinion. But
It's, I think they did fix that, problem of different style types once, I think after 2009 into 2010 when Colors was in the works, I think that's when they got the hang of it and they started realizing we don't need different game types anymore. We do need consistent gameplay, however.
yeah, Colors. I love Colors.
Me
Like
too.
Sonic Colors is an absolutely amazing game. In the Sonic franchise, at least. It got what Sonic Unleashed was trying to do, and it did it right. It did it very, very right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too fast, but you still felt like you were fast. You could actually play the game, which was fun. And above all else, I think Sonic Colors proved that you could have gimmicks in a Sonic game and it not sucking. And there'd always been like this dissenting voice in the fan base where it was like, oh, every Sonic game has a gimmick. Every Sonic game has a gimmick. Every modern Sonic game has a gimmick. Like, oh, you have to be, Eggman in his mech in SA2, or oh, you have to be Werehog in Sonic Unleashed, and oh, you have to snog a bird in Sonic. So all people to forget is that like the word gimmick has become a dirty word in the Sonic community. Everyone uses the word gimmick as a derogatory term these days, and it shouldn't be the case. Sonic 3 and Knuckles have level gimmicks. Sonic 2 doesn't really have so many level gimmicks. Every Sonic game has level gimmicks, or has gimmicks of a kind. It's just how you implement them. Pulleys in Mushroom Hill Zone, it's a gimmick. Those things that capture you, and you have to spin dash to get out of them in Mushroom Hill, that's a gimmick. Everything's a gimmick. Like Sonic 4 Episode 2 has gimmicks as well. Sonic 4 Episode 1 has gimmicks. I quite like the gimmicks in Sonic 4 Episode 2. Like in Oil Desert Zone, you have the platforms. You have to hit the switches underneath to switch where the sand's going.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
So it depends. QTE is someone mentioned QTEs in the chat just now. I should probably clarify. That's a very good example of not a very good gimmick at all.
Yeah.
Like I can see from a developer perspective it could work because QTEs are all about fast action and Sonic's are all about fast action. So why not put the two together? But it just didn't work.
Press the buttons to win. Pretty much.
Win. But Sonic Colors introduced Wisps, and I could just feel the reaction when that was announced, and everyone going, "Ooh, like here we go again." But the Wisps were awesome. They were wicked, and I think what Colors also did, for the series above anything else, was it brought that sense of wonder, color, and just kind of fantasy to Sonic. It brought it back. Like Sonic 1 to Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, they were all rooted in like real world environments. Like Starlight City, Starlight Zone and Scrap Brain, they're quite clearly focused on areas that you would expect to see in the real world, like factories and Twilight Cities and all the rest of it. But Sonic 1 did those levels in a way that made it feel like you were part of another world, another universe, another. It was all fantasy based. It was a really good marriage of the real and the fantasy. Sonic Colors was perhaps a bit too fantasy, but then you're always going to get that if you set a game in space. So so
Yeah.
uh, there is that. But it was just missing from Sonic games. Sonic 06 went all the way to realism and never looked back, and that was arse. That was utter arse. Sonic Unleashed kind of tried to do was kind of trying to do the realism and fantasy, but instead it basically tried to answer the same question that Sonic 06 did. It tried to answer the question, what would Sonic be like if he was in a human world? And that's a question that no one really wants to have answered. Like, it's an irrelevant point. You can argue that Sonic is always on Earth anyway, because that's what the Japanese manuals and the Mega Drive say. And it's, yeah, okay, no one's arguing that. But you don't see humans apart from potentially Eggman in the Mega Drive games. It's always understood that there are humans in his world. Do we need to see them?
Yeah,
No.
definitely. Like,
See him. Why do we need to see him? It's pointless. We didn't need to see him in the Mega Drive games. Why do we need to see him in Sonic 06? Why do we need to see cartoony humans and borderline racist Italians on in Sonic Unleashed?
I don't know because they're Sonic heroes. I mean,
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I mean, the colors had that element of fantasy, which I thought was missing from a lot of Sonic games in recent years, and you can have a you can have a very colorful experience and a very interesting, fun experience, and still be wowed by Sonic. I think that was the thing. You're just like Starlight Carnival. The first time you played that level, you know, even though you're playing a Wii and the graphics aren't all that compared to a 360 or whatever, you can't deny the first time you play that level, your mouth wasn't just like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool." Especially when you see the moto bugs for the first time in that stage when you're running. I'm just like, "What?
but
That those are motor bugs. I'm racing motor bugs. Oh my god, this is amazing." So, yeah,
the motobugs have invaded your game. Resistance is futile.
yeah, it was fun. Colors also brought back the idea of Badniks. I mean, there were the egg pawns, but even then, in Colors, I really did like the egg pawns. I don't really think much of egg pawns in a general sense, but I really liked the ones in Colors, largely because I think they had a bit more character to them rather than just generic robot number one. You had samurai ones, you had chefs, they were animated as well. Like, if you stood too close to the ones in Tropical, uh, is it Tropical Park
Tropical Resort.
Resort? Sorry, it's been a while since I played the game. Sorry, guys. Um, you need to see the egg robos there, the egg pawns. They're holding welcome signs, and if you stand close to them without actually, getting hit, they do this little dance holding this welcome sign. If you get too close, they try and batter you with the welcome sign. I'm like, awesome. You don't need guns. They just have welcome signs, and they just try and smash you. And I'm like, awesome. Um, and someone in the chat, Chaster, just mentioned that moustache. I wonder if he meant. I wonder if he's talking about the chef egg pawns in Sonic Colors, because they have pretty outstanding moustaches.
I think they were talking about Dr. Eggman, considering they were mentioning a bit ago that he's a human, but the thing is he's actually kind of an exception, since he's, well, not exactly, he's a cartoonish human, so to speak. Like, he's
Yeah.
mixed between reality and not reality and fantasy.
The thing is, right? I assume people bring it up. I even said, Eggman is potentially a human. It's not really understood if he is or not. But um, I think if people are using that as an argument to what I just said, I would argue that Eggman being a human, that's all right. Because as a villain, as a defined villain, that's what you need. It's basically humans versus animals. It's the whole deforestation of the world. It's that whole eco-planetary undertone and message that Sonic 1 had. It was, you went from Green Hill Zone and it slowly transformed. The world you went through slowly transformed into Scrap Brain Zone. If that's not some kind of environmental message, I don't know what is. Okay,
Um,
humans can be in Sonic games, but only if it's Eggman, because he's the personification of the human race. He's transforming the world into something that's nasty and whatever, and basically it's Captain Planet but with red shoes. Let our powers
just
combine.
just just now reading what Chester just said, uh, Dr. Eggman and Jamie Hyneman. The moment I saw the name Jamie, I thought of a certain other Jamie.
Huh.
Yeah, the one we speak to on a regular
Sorry.
basis, who's also on his honeymoon right now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Disco Ponies. Sorry,
yeah,
I just jump in because Maschenstein. Sorry if I mispronounced. Apparently, I'm mispronouncing everyone's names tonight. He mentioned Professor Pickle. That's an exception. Professor Pickle's wicked.
and
But
he
then
makes a great Sonic character, and he makes a great person that can run in a Sonic game. Oh,
he
wait.
he's dumb.
Apparently you have the power of heart, according to Pete.
Oh, I've got plenty of heart for Peter. Oh, whoop, Sonic. Bow, 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 bow. You've seen that video, right?
Oh God. Yes, one drop it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Drop.
the guys at SP have been making that joke a million times now since it's come out.
Sorry, that's just I didn't really think much of Professor Pig really when I played Sonic Unleashed, but he has become this kind of cult character, a bit like Wentos and a bit like um I don't know, bugger it, some character, Wes Weasley from AOSTH, I guess. Like there's these characters that you can just be like, okay, yeah, there's we don't really want them here, but they're pretty cool. I can be convinced, and I think part of that is the whole infatuation that people have had on YouTube with Professor Pickle and just putting him into memes and everything, and you know they've latched onto the cucumber thing, which is funny enough in itself, really. But I wonder what
Yeah.
cucumbers do taste like. I should try that one day.
Yeah, I agree with Kitsune. I think Professor Pickle is kind of a one-time thing as well. I mean,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, yeah,
But yeah, I continue to forget that we do have topics to talk about.
so covered
We're having so much fun though.
10 news stories. We've covered Sonic 4 Episode 2, and we've talked about.
We've talked about Unleashed through the whole time.
Yeah, where this is going.
We're having fun though. I mean, that's the whole point. It's pretty interesting though about the launch trailer for episode 2 though, about because do believe they actually have the word to be continued in the end of it, or not to be continued but to be concluded. Some people are saying that's in relation to episode 3 coming out in the future, but there's
There
also
is the thing is, right? In the interviews I've had with Izuka-san over Episode 2, when doing press junkets and stuff, he mentioned that there was always a plan to do 2 episodes. As you may or may not have read, if there's enough sales for both games or whatever, they might consider doing an episode 3. But this is the one. These 2 games are the ones they've actually said this is definitely what we're doing, and it's interesting when people. One of the comments I actually got back was actually that the game was anticlimactic. I'm like, well, I can kind of give you that one, I guess, if you count not having a supersonic boss as a final boss as anticlimactic. But um, they said that the Death Egg Mark II stuff should have been saved for episode 3, and I'm like, well, if nobody knows that they're going to be making an episode 3 yet, why should they say that? Because essentially all you're doing then is stripping episode 2 of content, and that's a bad thing. That's not really something you should do. I did want to bring up actually, before we move on to the, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever mold stories are, that we haven't really talked about episode metal, and I quite like episode metal. Do you know what? It's an odd one because they do this whole lock-on technology gimmick, which is essentially the game searches for a Sonic 4 Episode 1 save file and then just unlocks a bit of content if you've got it, which is, if for those who haven't played it, it's 4 stages from Episode 1 that you play as Metal Sonic. And they're kind of tweaked, harder versions of Episode 1 stages. So apparently all of Eggman's robots are trying to kill Metal Sonic, even though Eggman drives him with this really weak kind of heart zapper thing. I'm like, I don't understand, but I'm just like, well, if it's a reason to kill robots, I don't care. So it's fun. But one of the things that struck me as odd when Sega of America were, and Sonic Team, I guess, by extension, were advertising Sonic CD, the HD Sonic CD. The trailer for that was like, hey, we're putting Sonic CD as a prequel to episode 2 now. And I'm like, what? And I was just like, well, that's odd because literally that's not the case. Like Sonic 4 Episode 2 takes place, it could take place at any time. There's no specific time frame, but I'd like to think that the canon would kind of honor the release schedule. So I'd like to think that Sonic CD took place somewhere between either Sonic 1 and 2 or Sonic 2 and 3 and Knuckles, but certainly not between Sonic 3 and 4 or Sonic 4 Episode 1 and Sonic 4 Episode 2. That's just weird. So when that trailer came out, I was like, that's just fucking lol. And everyone was, I don't know what they're doing. And I was just like, well, sure, there's an explanation. And it turns out that Sega and Sonic Team did know what they were doing, I guess. They have this uncanny skill of completely miscommunicating their point. And that was evidenced when I played Episode Metal, because I was ready to play Episode Metal and I thought, right, here it is. Tell me, it's like, here's the truth behind, what happened between Sonic CD and Episode 2. Here's the gap, and here's why we're proving that it's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, hit me, do whatever. And all it was little planets appeared where Sonic left Metal Sonic, and Eggman appears and he's like, I'll revive you. Come back to the planet to help me out and shit. And you're like, okay. And I'm like, hang on a minute, that's actually okay, because nothing in that setup knackers any kind of canon or time plot at all, really. I mean, Sonic CD could still officially take place between Sonic 1 and 2 or Sonic 2 and 3, and you'd that cutscene for Episode Metal before Sonic 4 Episode 2 would still be correct. And so it got me thinking, why the hell did everyone think that CD's position in the canon timeline was different than what it actually is then? And I just realized, no, Sega just ballsed up with the trailer.
Yeah.
What they did, that's fun. So I'm kind of glad that that's all been aired and cleared up. But I kind of knew that was the case anyway. I think everyone just, including me initially, I think everyone just kind of got their knickers in a twist about it. I just found it funny, but everyone actually, a lot of other people took it to, kind of serious connotations. But it's at least those who took it seriously can kind of rest easy at night now with Episode Metal. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's no question in my mind that I think they could have done a little bit more with Episode Metal, but the more I think about it, the more like what it currently has is growing on me. Like it seems to be like Episode Metal is a great little romp you can go through if you're bored, because it's only, even though it might be just 4 acts, it's 4 acts you can spend your time on to curb your boredom. And I do like that. I played through it a few times actually because of how short it is and how fun it is either way. I mean, like I said, it could have had a few more, maybe another act or a boss if there could have been one, but it's not that big of a deal. And as I said, it's growing like what it currently is, the current state of episode metal. It's been growing on me. It
Mm.
really has. I mean, it is better than nothing, so
Yeah, it's a nice little bonus. But what I find funny playing episode metal is that when you play as Sonic or Tails, if you get hit by an enemy, you lose your rings. You hear the ring loss sound, the bring when all the rings piss out of you and go all over the place. When that happens as Metal Sonic, you don't hear that bring noise. You just hear a sound that can only really be described as someone slapping the shit out of a refrigerator. It's like you're like, that's really funny. So I'm just like, that's awesome. So
Oh man, that is brilliant. Uh, but yeah, I mean, episode two it's a fun game. I mean, like I said, it could be better, but on its own, it is fun. I mean, yeah, but
it's number two on the agenda, right? Or is that still number one?
that was the first topic we were talking about. But the second one, this one, you'll really be able to um voice your opinion on because, well, you kind of had something to do with this announcement because you were the one that made it, I believe.
Right.
Um, because it's Summer of Sonic related. I do believe people can now officially say that they can go get another wave of tickets soon.
Yay. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, we found some extra tickets under the couch, so we were able to give it to you. Um, yeah, Summer of Sonic. That's just blown up, hasn't it?
Yes.
To some degree earlier on. So I don't know. It depends how long you kind of want to talk about this, but yeah, I mean, we were just stunned. We honestly thought the 400 tickets in Wave One would go, take a lot longer to, get sent out than it actually took. So a little bit apprehensive with the rest of the tickets, because Wave One's always going to be like the majority of the space. So we had like a few people before we announced when it is. I should probably mention when it is, to be honest. For those of
Yeah.
you listening, well, the date today is Sunday, the 20th of May. So to put it in context, it will be this coming Friday, so Friday the 25th of May,
Yeah.
at 6 p.m. British summertime. So yeah, that because we're in daylight savings at the moment, so it's 1 hour ahead of GMT. But there'll be 200 tickets to give away. And the good news is that we originally thought we were going to have two waves of tickets, but there's actually going to be like a final third. Now, I kind of am a bit hesitant to call it wave three because I don't know how many tickets we're going to have for this final wave, but yeah, I don't know how many we're going to actually have because it'll almost be like scraping the barrel of what tickets we have left and what we can muster up from the previous two waves. So we originally weren't going to do that. We were originally hoping to just get all of them shot in the first two waves. But we thought, well, there's a number of people who, in their kind of madness to get a ticket, they kind of rushed it. So they made duplicate tickets, or they ordered tickets and now they realize they can't come. So we're getting emails all the time about people who are kind of just offering their tickets back to us so we can offer more tickets. But because of the process and the turnaround, it's easier to do that all in a block of third wave stuff rather than do it all in wave two stuff and give everyone a headache, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also it's really good. It's really good for the show as well because it means we've got more. We've somehow managed to magic up space where previously there was none. So technically, we're magicians. I think that's the take away from that news story. We're magicians. We're magic.
Yeah. I
um,
I should clarify for those who are curious what the time is. I do believe that the exact time correct me if I'm wrong, if it's 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. UK, right?
I think that's correct. I am absolutely shocking when it comes to international time zones. Uh, the time at the moment in the UK, British summertime, is round about 10:30. So 10:30 p.m. So what's the time over where you are at the moment?
Ah, okay, so that's I know UK time is normally 5 hours behind. Except, in that little brief time when US has daylight savings, we're kind of I think for a couple weeks we're like an hour
You're
behind.
at the right now. It's either 5:30.
Yeah, it's
In,
5:30.
is it cool?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Then it'll be 1 p.m. Eastern, right?
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time, and a whole lot of fun for everyone. You
yeah.
can see my face right now, but I'm kind of grinning. Um,
Apparently I'm kick-ass when it comes to figuring times out. But
and I think there should be like a profession for people who keep time, and I think you'd make a very good career out of it. I'm not being funny. I think you do a good job.
oh goodness. I see Gareth FTA's in the chat now.
Who's Gareth?
FTA.
I don't know a Gareth. I don't know an FTA. It's nothing to me.
He says he says you smell.
Shoot her! Shoot her! Sorry, I was out with Gareth. Actually, no, I wasn't because I don't know a Gareth. He's nothing to me. Um, no, we were just quoting Jurassic Park last night. It was not last night. Last night. I don't know days anymore. Leave me alone. The days they blend, Donny. They blend.
Oh God. But yeah, I do believe I'm looking back up. To answer Kitsune Pieces, Pisces uh statement, I am not going to Summer of Sonic because as I said before, I do not have the money. Um and plus it wouldn't it's easier said than done to get myself all the way from the UK, and not from the UK, but the East Coast to the UK. Uh, it's easier said than done. So, although I really would like to go to Summer Sonic, it may will have to hold off until another year, which is really unfortunate because I really, really, really would love to go. But
You should do SSF aid. Do a charity.
SSFA, SSFA,
Yeah, SSF aid.
I
Just
need money. Everyone donate to the SSF Foundation.
the S the SSF fund.
Yes, the SF, the SS Fund.
SS fund.
And
Just call it. Actually, you can abbreviate that further. Just call it fund. Fund.
Yes.
Naming it because that
Oh.
might put people.
Yes, it's fun. Oh goodness. I need money, guys. Make sure to donate to the SS Fund. You'll get a
Right
cookie in return.
now, you're just sounding desperate. Just put on a gig or something.
Oh man. But yeah, Summer Sonic takes place on July 7th, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly does. It takes place in. We've
Right.
traditionally held it in London every year. This year we're actually having it in Brighton, which is a lovely little seaside town at the bottom of the country. But before everyone kind of panics, everyone panicked a few weeks ago when we actually announced where it was. So the time has kind of passed for that. So you're a bit late if you're going to panic about that now. But there are loads of really good travel links from Heathrow Airport and London and all sorts. So it's a piece of piss to get to. It's fantastic, and there are many, many good venues there. So the one we picked is particularly good. Really maintains the community feeling that we've managed to keep throughout Summer of Sonic and in all the years we've had it. Like the first year we had it in Covent Garden Dragon Hall. which was basically a community hall, like a tiny community hall. Second year we had it Brick Lane. That's kind of the anomaly in terms of location, but there was actually air there, so I guess people can't complain too much. Last year we were in Camden Centre, which was a council kind of venue that's hired out. It's very community hall based, and it's kind of the same this time around as well. We've got this place called the Hove Centre,
Oh,
and that's
really?
also yeah, that's actually a really cool place. That's a similar deal as Camden Centre last year. Actually, it's a council place, council venue. They hire it out and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's sweet. There's like a built-in stage in a corner of this huge room at the bottom, but there's also a balcony at the top which holds about 150 people at any one time. But that balcony has crap loads of seating, so we're thinking of having the seating area where we could just boot the parents off and just be like, "Well, parents, piss off, go over there. If if you're not going to enjoy the day, if you're just going to sit there with a sullen face on your face, a face on your face. What am I saying? Just you know what I mean. Just sit on a chair and shut up. Because last year we had parents invade some of the art tables. We have art tables at Summer of Sonic dedicated to fans who just want to sit down and spend an hour or two drawing, and then they get up and then they let someone else sit down and stuff. We have chairs around for people who are just quite tired that they can sit down as well, and especially for disabled people, we accommodate that as well. But parents, obviously, you have it in this one big room. Parents are there. A lot of the parents actually end up, you find out they're Sonic fans because they grew up with Sonic in the 90s. But some parents are, massively older, and their kids are like teenagers or something, and they just don't care about Sonic. They're there to make sure they're there and theirs always have are having fun that day. But last year it got to a point where we had parents sitting at those art tables chilling out, and because of the space issues we had, we couldn't just go up to them and say, "Oi, piss off, let someone sit down and draw." But that was kind of what I really wanted to say. Yeah, parents actually become I love talking to the parents. I love talking to everyone at Summer of Sonic, but the parents sometimes can be the the the, the biggest obstacle when it comes to talking to arranging stuff at Summer of Sonic, because they feel like they're there to have fun, to look after their kid and stuff, and so they want to make sure that everything's appropriately set up. But sometimes liberties can be taken. In 2010, we had a table set up for Nigel Dobbin from Sonic the Comic. He's an artist, was an artist for Sonic the Comic. He's an amazing comic artist. We had a table specifically for him to just sit down, draw. People can come up to his table, just chat to him, ask for a request. He was selling his own artwork from the 90s and everything else. But the problem with Nigel that year was that he was traveling by train on the day, and he's based quite far up north in the country. So getting to London would take a couple of hours, and he wasn't there when we opened the doors at Summer of Sonic in 2010. He would arrive actually an hour after we opened the doors. So we planned for this. We put little reserved tickets on his desk, and decorated it so you kind of get an idea that this is a special table. When he arrived, he came straight to me, and we were like, "Oh, hi, Nigel, how you doing?" and stuff. "Your table's just over here." I turn around and I'm like, "What the hell?" A parent and about five of her kids had commandeered this table, actually moved it from where it was originally up against the wall, and I'm sure there was a table here before, and the table next to Nigel's was run by Sonic the Comic Online, a bunch of fantastic guys that do a continuation of the Sonic the Comic series online. And I went up to them and I said, "Am I going crazy? Where's Nigel's table gone?" And they went, "Oh, we went away for a bit. We came back, and it turned out that someone had nicked it and went over there." So I went to the guy. "Look, sorry, can you move? This table isn't actually for artwork." And the mother kicked off a little bit and was like, "Well, there's no room to sit anywhere else, is there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. That's well, it is kind of our problem, but your it's not our issue at the moment. Our issue at the moment is we have our table." So, so I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. We'll try and find you a spot." I said, "But unfortunately, this table is taken, so you can't just take this table." It's like, "Well, I think that's our right, don't you?" I was just thinking to myself, "Love, you're not even interested in this convention. Your kids are, so I'm not bad against them." But I was just like, "Oh, love, just give up. This is a free event. We can't, there are certain things that you can't just demand. If you were paying for this thing, then maybe I don't know." But I was just like, "Look, I'm really sorry, but you're gonna have to move." Luckily, we found some chairs that they can sit down in. Luckily, that year we had an area for just chilling out anyway, like a bunch of seats. They weren't tables anywhere, but they were just like pumpy cushions that people could sit on. And yeah, we she buggered off over there, and the kids had loads of fun on the actual designated art tables, which was nice. Um, so we finally got that table back, but it was just quite funny. It was You get stuff like that happen all the time. Like people commandeer tables, even though you expressly say, "Don't take that table. That's reserved for someone." Um, but
It's,
it, interesting. It's interesting doing the organization for the day. Let's put it that way. You try and plan for so much, but you always get thrown a curveball on the day, and you're just like, "Oh, what?" So yeah. Um,
it's it's pretty interesting how uh the convention can have its fun moments, it can have its, stressful moments, but it can also have its rather quirky moments. Um,
yeah,
and I think that's part of the fun is that you never know what to expect when you're waking up the morning Summer Sonic is supposed to take place. You never know what's going to happen, and that's just part of the reasons why Summer Sonic can be so fun. It's just all the craziness.
yeah. Well, for us, it's the craziness. It never feels tedious, at least.
Yeah,
Of course, we would appreciate it if we didn't have problems on the day. But beggars can't be choosers, really. um, I think it helps that myself, Pete, Kira, Adam, Kevin in the past, Rory, all the, everyone who does the volunteer stuff, we all have quite cool heads on our shoulders. And, whenever I think of problems that need to be addressed on a day, like someone's like last year, someone passed out, they needed to be moved to another room, or the year before, someone couldn't get in because of this and that, and there was an issue with their ticket, and then there was, the table abduction and all the rest of it.
yeah, it's
It's times like that where I kind of think, well, I'm quite glad now in hindsight that I've got 5 years worth of retail customer service under my belt, because that's come handy how to approach customers, like customers in the retail, and then obviously the fans and their parents. You kind of know how to be diplomatic when it comes to that sort of thing. So it's an exercise in both being really down to earth and being a fan with other fans on one hand, and then all of a sudden being able to flip that and go into almost PR mode when things go wrong, and you have to explain things to people without slagging them off, without slagging yourself off, and just basically trying to explain that it just is what it is. It's just an unfortunate thing that happens, or
yeah,
but negatives here. The thing is, 98% of the entire day is absolutely fantastic. Um, it's just quite funny sometimes when you get
yeah.
parents tables and you're like, where the hell did that table go? It's like start walking off. So
Yeah, apparently FTA said that you should have gone shoot her when you're trying to look for the trying to talk to Nigel about the table.
you know what? When I realised that the parent had moved that Nigel's table that year, I actually looked across trying to find it, and I saw the parent, and I just thought to myself, clever girl, shoot her. Um,
It's
I
Oh man.
I'm gonna stop Jurassic Park in jokes now, so I can.
But it is interesting though that Nigel is apparently going to be back. I have heard an announcement recently.
That's right. Nigel is Nigel's fun because he likes to announce himself before we actually manage to do it ourselves. Robbing us
Yeah,
every year we've had him, but the we have actually formally announced him now, as well as Nigel Kitching, who's also an artist, but mostly a writer for the Sonic the Comic series. And if anyone, if you don't know much about Sonic the Comic, obviously like your American listeners or something like that, who haven't been able to import or read any of the comics online, the Sonic the Comic series. Well, it started in '93, about the same year as Archie, and it focused on kind of one issue stories, like 7 page, like self-contained stories about Sonic taking out Robotnik's latest deadly machine, right? And they were quite cheesy stories. But around about issue 8 or 9, Nigel Kitching got on board and he decided to try and build this whole different comic arc with the series. And what he came up with was essentially almost like a quantum leap type thing. Like Sonic and his friends were sent to the special zone, which is almost like a void in space. And while he was there, kind of having a chat with this omnipotent computer being that kind of was informing him of various this and that, he comes back to Mobius and realizes the whole world has been basically enslaved and taken over by Robotnik. Robotnik's taken the 6 months that it's taken Sonic and his friends to be in this special zone and just basically turned the world upside down. And so from that point on, the whole comic from that point on to the end was basically a freedom fighter situation where little by little Sonic was trying to take back the planet. And it was such a really cool idea, and it really resonated with a lot of kids in the '90s in Britain. And every fortnight when that comic came out, everyone would buy it, get the latest issue, and find out what's happening in Tails' world or Sonic's world or on the floating island or whatever. So, yeah, Nigel Kitching was a very big influence on that comic, and it's just awesome to have him back as well. He's got a lot of good stories to tell.
at least the table has been forgiven. I mean,
Yeah, we actually have wire fencing around the tables now.
you cannot touch this table. Only Nigel can touch this table.
Or we might get JJ with a cattle prod, like standing next to the table, going, "I dare you, come on, try it."
Oh man, but yeah, someone was actually asking me a question earlier. Someone was actually wanting to know if Summer Sonic will be broadcasted.
Ah, yes, that's a very good question. And I have a very good answer. Yes, is the answer to that. We've since the very first one, actually, we've gone out of our way to try and think about how we can broadcast the event to those who can't make it. Um, Before, it was simply a case of, well, the show's quite small. How do we make it? How do we make it grow? Every year, we find people who will really want to come to Summer of Sonic, but they've never heard of it until this year. So we're like, well, how do we show to them that this is an event worth coming to? So we did the live feed largely because of that, but largely because we understand that there are Sonic fans all over the world, and we can only really have a convention in one place. So for American people and people outside the UK, we were like, okay, here's a video feed, enjoy it. Now it's gotten to the point where, again, like that situation hasn't changed. We're doing a live stream, video stream for those who can't make it, but the reason people can't make it is now completely flipped on its head. Instead of people don't know what it is or they live in a different country, now it seems like country is no obstacle to half these people. Money object, and space is the object. And we're finding that like we are going to have to turn away a number of people this year because obviously we're ticketing it. So a lot of people will have to watch it on live stream, and it's going to be gutting. But at the same time, um, it's really, really great that the event has become so big that so many people want to come. I would never have imagined that we'd have a sellout. It's crazy. Um, so for you guys who either can't make it due to money or to if you can't get a ticket, there's always the live feed, and we every year we learn. So with the live feed, kind of exactly what we're going to try and do this time, and try and make sure we can capture the entire event as much as possible without too many hiccups and stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be almost as good as being there.
Yeah.
Without
I guess it should be clarified that it is going to be Disco Ponies that handles the video feed again this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sonic Show has always been a very important partner when it comes to handling live video, live tech, live anything really. Radio Sega and Sega Sonic Radio have been really awesome partners in terms of the radio feed as well. So, it's the event itself is very welcoming and open to Sonic fans to get together and meet and stuff and collaborate. It's a collaboration of fans to meet each other. But in terms of organization, it's also a really good example of Sonic fans collaborating as well. So, it's not the Sonic Stadium show. If it was, I'd call it the Sonic Stadium Convention. But it's a group of fans from multiple fan sites: Emerald Coast, Sega Driven, Radio Sega, Sonic Rex was heavily involved up until last year. All of these different websites, and it's a great example of what can be done if people work together, and that's really what I want: people working together, having fun and stuff. So it's good. So yeah, Disco Ponies will definitely be handling the video side of things. We're talking about we always have like a kind of live presenter kind of introducing various areas of the hall as well. You may have seen Rory Black present some of the retrospectives for Sonic Show for Summer of Sonics in the past.
Yeah.
Because obviously Rory is now a co-organizer with me, and he'll be on stage presenting most of the time. We'll have someone else to kind of fill that slot, but we are looking into things like that as well to kind of make the coverage that we provide to people much more interesting than, hey, here's a hall that you wish you were in, that sort of deal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's we still got to work out the angles, but it should be cool.
Yeah, it's I should note that I actually was Sega Driven was actually on the show last week, and before then was Radio Sega, so it's kind of interesting um how that took place. Coincidental. But
It's funny because, like I said, people make friendships at Summer Sonic, but I mean, and our friendships at Summer Sonic, the organizers ourselves, like Lewis from Sega Driven, Gavin or Gavi from Radio Sega, they're very, very, I consider them very, very close friends of mine. And working together for Summer of Sonic has only really strengthened our friendship, I think, of all of us that are involved in organizing it. But really, the summer, like I said earlier as well, this really could not have been done without these guys. Like they put so much effort and time into it, and I could only really trust these guys to help me make the event as good as it is every year, because I knew them beforehand. Like Summer of Sonic wasn't a thing that I approached Kevin or Archangel K with overnight. It was something that was a serious conversation that we had when we realized that after a couple of Sonic meetups that we had that went really successfully, like 30 people turning up to a London pub and talking about Sonic for 10 hours, we made some very good friends at that previous meetup. And we were like, well, this isn't just a pipe dream anymore. This is something that can actually happen if we, if we make the effort about it. everyone's really dedicated to the cause, and yeah, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have. It's a great feeling to stage a day like that, but it's even better to stage a day like that when you know that you're staging it with your very closest friends, and that's the best thing, I think.
Yeah, it all Summer Sonic has a lot of moments. I mean that are memorable, and I'm sure it feels good to be able to capture those on video too, um, on the video feed, and it's it's a fun experience. I mean, it's a once in a I wouldn't say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, considering it happens once a year. I mean, something as big as this, but it's definitely something huge, like something you never forget. No
Mm.
question about it.
I think it does become something like a once in a lifetime thing, honestly, because for me at least, because every year is different. Every year has a different feeling, and I'm always constantly surprised again by how big it gets year on year. I remember the first 10, 20 minutes of Summer of Sonic 2010. We had it in London there, and it was a place that held about 900 people, I think that venue did. And we were quite proud with, the deal we struck and all the rest of it. We decorated it. We were 10 minutes away from going, and all of our hearts were racing. We were like, before the previous 2 years, we had Summer Sonic 2008 where we had 300 people turn up, and we had an issue trying to fit them all in. That blew our minds. But then we had Summer Sonic 2009, which was also great, but we had 400 people turn up that day, so it was a kind of a small increase in numbers. But because the venue was really big, it almost didn't really feel like there were that many people there, if that makes any sense. Um, with 2010, in 20 minutes, we fit like about eight, 600 people. And I was looking up, we had like a tech area kind of up these stairs that year. So you could kind of look over the whole room. And I was up there at the time. I looked up once before we opened the doors, completely empty. Looked down. I was working to try and get something technical fixed. Looked up 2 minutes later. There was the same amount of people, 400, that attended Summer of Sonic last year. And I felt kind of embarrassed for myself because it didn't really make me feel anything. It was like, wow, that's what we had last year. That's good. Then I looked down and then I looked up again about 10 minutes later, and there was like twice the amount of people in there. And that was when I genuinely got scared. I was like, oh my God, that's a serious amount of people.
Yeah.
What? And going on stage with AUK that year, doing the countdown, and then just introducing Summer of Sonic to that massive cheer, that was a really good feeling. That was a really good feeling. And that was when we realized this has legs. This idea can grow and grow. And there will be no end of people that will love Sonic, and will, they'll find out about this event and stuff, and they'll really want to go. So, yeah, it just blows my mind every year. That was a really unique experience for me, 2010. But then obviously last year was a unique experience as well because on multiple levels, I was bricking it because I was looking after essentially my hero, Yuji Naka, and it was so, my brain was so like all kinds of weird. It was a kind of like a Twilight Zone feeling because my brain was kind of thinking, oh my God, right, this guy that I've is basically my idol. I've respected him, loved his work since I was 6, 7 years old. 20 years on, I'm not only going to meet him for the first time, I'm interviewing him for the Sonic Stadium before the event. Um,
Oh.
I'm hosting an official Q&A on stage with him, and I'm essentially looking after him on a professional level too, because this is an event that I made. I'm just like, whoa, hang on a minute. He's coming to my show. I'm like, this is I wouldn't have thought in a million years he'd even consider something like that, you know? You all have these like everyone has these moments where you meet your heroes and you think, oh my god, I don't even, you know, I can't even believe that I'm even about to meet my hero, let alone whatever, you know, whatever. And it was just all of these different things, you know. Oh, you're doing a Q&A with him. Oh, you're doing a happy birthday Sonic with him. Oh, you're doing this and that, and it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is like a lifetime's worth of jizz. All in God. I had to really reel myself in. I'm not even sure why. I'm not even sure to this day how I didn't just become a gibbering wreck on stage every time he was there, and Izuka-san as well, because that was the first time I kind of really met him as well, and it was surreal. On the Q&A, actually, speaking about that, there was there was several levels for how I had to get that right as well. There was the fact that Nakasan was my idol. There was the fact that I was well, I am a professional journalist. So on that level, I had to have my questions kind of quite right and decent. As a Sonic fan, I had to ask the right questions as well, because I look out to the crowd, and especially in the afternoon, there was a sea of people rammed up right against the stage, and they're looking at me with I don't think they were in hindsight, but in my mind it was almost like the evils. They were kind of, you better have some good questions to ask, Mr. You know, you think you're the owner of the biggest Sonic site in the world, sort of thing. I was just like, oh, God, no.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, as a journalist, as a guy who runs a fan site, and as a general Sonic fan, I had to get it right. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. We asked some really good questions. We got some really good candid answers out of all of the guests, and it was, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world either. So, and I'm sure there's going to be a similar thing for this year as well. You know, I don't want to preempt anything. You never know quite how the day's going to turn out, but there's, yeah, it's just really, every year is a once in a lifetime experience from my perspective. But I guess that's why people want to go so bad, because every year is different.
definitely. I mean, it's you never know what, like I said, you never know what you're gonna expect when you go there. You just never know. And it's a fun experience. It really is. I mean, a lot of people do say they have a very, very fun time there, and I'm glad. I really am. I mean, it's good to see the people are having fun. That's all that matters.
I think at the end of the day, what's really important is that the organization of an event such as that changes from me one day deciding to spend 600 quid of my own money on a venue and just having a day out for people to just trot in and play Sonic games, to something that has grown so big to be a professional organization. But the challenge there is, how do you maintain that grassroots feeling? And um, we worked with Sega quite closely last year because of the 20th anniversary, but this is kind of the first year where we've kind of really had an absolute direct dialogue with them, um, to really realize what we want to do, and it feels great. I mean, they are, Sega is basically absolutely understanding of what we want to do. They, like I said earlier, they literally just sit down in meetings with me. I sit there. Obviously, not all the volunteer staff can physically be at these meetings, so I'm sat at a table with big Sega Europe people, and they literally just sit there and go, "What do you want in your event?" And I'll be like, "Well, I think it'll be good if the fans could do this. I think they'll do that." And they'll be like, "Well, yeah, all right, we'll do it for you." And they even suggest things that we don't even think of. So they're really excited to kind of service the fans too. And they have said multiple times, like they really don't want to encroach on what we're doing. You know, like, they like, this is your event. this is, this has to be how you want to do it. And they've just been completely understanding about the whole process. And I'd go so far as to say that this year, as a result, due to their kind of expertise in hosting events and stuff, and our kind of imagination running away with us and stuff, this year has been one of the most organized we've actually had it. I mean, behind the scenes, I mean, no one can really. It's a bit difficult to quantify to someone who's not involved in the organization process. So I guess you're going to just have to take my word for it, unfortunately. But it has been like, there have been years where it's just almost been a complete nightmare us doing it off our own back, because we're just like, oh, what do we do? Oh, we've never done this before. Oh, we've never handled a band before. So with that experience, say, and their openness to just say, we think we want to do it that way, but do you want to do it a different way because this is your show? It's great, and I don't think we've lost any of that spark. I mean, if there was a chance that we had lost that spark, it would have been very, very evident last year, if nothing else. So
Yeah.
it's fantastic, and part of the reason why you just think, okay, what is part of that grassroots statement? It's not just a bunch of fans going up to Sega and going, we want this, we want that, do now, now, now. That's, I mean, I've always said, ever since year one, if I could help it, if people would actually turn up, and I know they would, because they understand what the point of Summer of Sonic is, but if it if it was as glamorous as getting, I don't know, Crush 40 over, I would just as soon just hire an empty hall and just say to people on the Summer of Sonic website, here's an empty hall. It's in London somewhere. Here are directions. Come along, talk about Sonic with me, Pete, Lewis, all the rest of them. Let's just have fun. And, I think a large majority of the people that go to Summer of Sonic actually do that. They actually go to Summer of Sonic because they understand why I created it and why we worked so hard for 5 years to build it up. It's because it is just fans like meeting each other for the first time. You get to meet the real person behind that username that you've known for 5 years, maybe, or I've heard stories from people who have gone to Summer of Sonic alone, and they've said to me, you know what, I didn't know anyone. I was going to go with my friends. They didn't want to come with me. I went to Summer of Sonic alone, and I came out with 10 new best friends at the end of the day. And that sort of stuff is why we do it. And it's just, in past years, I've said, everything else, the Crush 40 and the Richard Jakes and the Yuji Naka and stuff, everything else is window dressing. It's all about the fans meeting each other and expanding the community that way. But that would be, to say that now would be kind of sort of disregarding the fact that the guests that we do get to Summer of Sonic really, really, really love Summer of Sonic and love talking to the fans. So it's almost a day for the celebs to get to be friends with the fans as much as it is the fans being friends with each other. Jun Sonoy, for example, he's notorious now for being so cool with the fans, like photographs, playing guitar, all the rest of it, in front of people. He loves it. I've met him on several occasions now, and he just speaks glowingly of the Sonic fan base. He really, really does love that stuff, and it's a day out for him. Like Sonic Boom and Summer of Sonic, they're holidays for people like Sonoy and Naka-san, And I heard, there's obviously a language barrier, but from what I hear back, Izuku and Naka-san really, really, really did enjoy themselves last year. Like they were so happy they managed to get to meet the fans directly and shake their hands and get photos with them and stuff. So, everyone just gets to. It's just a big fat,
Party.
platonic loving, really, isn't it? So
Yeah.
and that's why it works. We never really strayed from that core idea. It's essentially working around. Let's have a place where people can meet and have fun. But what do we do to keep them there talking about, their number one for for a bit. Oh, let's have some quizzes on stage and stuff. Like that's always been the core thing. How do we make sure that people have a really good time talking to each other? Yeah, and no one's that's never been lost. So that's really good.
Yeah, the RGX is actually asking if you had the chance to meet I can't say this name right for the likes of me, but Naoto Oshima.
Naoto Oshima. Yes, I have actually, but not at Summer of Sonic. It's I'm sad to say. I'd love to have him down one year. But obviously he doesn't work for Sega anymore, so there's that. It would be a bit like the Yuji Naka situation. Yuji Naka, it doesn't work for Sega anymore. He was able to come because Sonic's 20th anniversary. It was a similar deal with Sonic Boom last year. Oshima-san was at Sonic Boom last year, and the reason that was because, well, he's the designer of Sonic, but also it was Sonic's 20th anniversary, so Sega felt it appropriate to include him in the that sort of event. The main level planner for the Sonic the Hedgehog series, the original games, Hirokazu Yasuhara. I also met him as well. I only met Oshima-san and Yasuhara-san briefly, like about 2 minutes or so at Sonic Boom, because I just remember I got invited to Sonic Boom and I saw them on stage, Naka-san and Izuka-san, and I saw them on stage doing a happy birthday thing at Sonic Boom, and I was up the place they held the event. I think it was a Club Nokia or something. There was the place where all the fans were standing at the bottom, and then there was a bit at the top where all the journalists and special guests were. It was like upstairs in this auditorium bit where there are actually seats. And I was sitting up there with Jim Stern, Destructoid. He was loving it. I'm not mates with him. I know him quite well, and he knows me quite well. We get on all right, but he was loving it. I was sitting next to him all the way up, looking at this stage, and there's Naka-san and Oshima-san, and they're like, "We're gonna do a happy." Naka-san and Izuka-san, they're like, "We're gonna do Happy Birthday Sonic," and I'm like, "Cool." I made a point of not approaching Naka-san and Izuka-san that night because I thought to myself, well, they're going to be at Summer of Sonic in a couple of weeks anyway, so I don't really want to irritate them and just kind of rock up to them. But then before they did the Summer of the Happy Birthday Sonic at Sonic Boom, Aaron Webber rolled out Yasuhara-san and Oshima-san as surprise special guests, and I was just like, "What?" I just looked at the stage and I was just like, "Oh my God, I may never see those two ever again. I have to do something." And I had a VIP pass that got me everywhere. And I was just like, "Mate, I have to go." So I ran all the way down, took down, legged it all the way backstage, went stage left, and I'm sitting there. I'm standing stage left, waiting for them to walk off, and I'm just kind of going, hurry up and walk off. And walk off. I think June was there as well. And they all walk off. And I run up to June. I go, June, 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 June. He's like, "Oh, hey, Sven, how's it going, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool, man. Can I get a photo with it, like everyone, like everyone, you lot?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was just like, it was awesome. I was just like, I've got a photo with Oshima and yes, this is amazing. So yeah, I would love to have those two at Summer Sonic one day. One day it will happen. But yeah, it was just really good to actually have that happen.
It's
Yeah,
it's those kind of moments that really it's something you remember for the rest of your life. It really is.
sure. Yeah. It's funny actually because um by the way, the reason I refer to Ashima-san as Ashima-san is because he's not my BFF or anything. San and Yasuhara-san and Izuka-san. Even though I've spoken to Izuka-san on many occasions, I don't think I'm quite there yet. But with June, it's it's a different story. June's like my b-boy. Um, so yeah, that's why I say June's first name and not because I noticed a few people in the chat room were getting a bit all up in that with the honorifics and things. So I thought I'd just explain that. Before people were like, "Oh, he's being really rude talking about Sonoi's son like that." No, no, he's just my b-boy. Um, there was I've been in touch with Ashima-san on Facebook and stuff. So it's and he's expressed an interest. It was really cool to see actually. The Japanese guys are really quite approachable when you contact them and stuff. So it's nice. Yeah, it's cool.
It is. I mean, it's good to see how much they interact with fans and the Summer Sonic staff. It really shows they care.
Mm. I mean, I can say that. I mean, obviously, Crush 40 is going to be at Summer Sonic this year, so therefore it's obvious that June's going to be there. But we're talking about set lists and we're talking about what's going to happen on the day. Some of it will be revealed before the day because I think one of the things we learned last year is that we want to let you guys know what the schedules are and stuff so you can print off before the actual day because before we were like, oh, we'll just assume people know, or we'll assume that people look up on the projector and um, kind of make time for it. But you've got to kind of account for the fact that not everyone's going to do that. So we will announce like what's happening on stage and all that stuff. But we're already talking about a couple of surprises, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be wicked. Some of the stuff that June's been talking about, I'm just like, oh my god. what? But yeah, it's going to be great fun.
It is. I can tell you're really really thrilled and excited for what's to come, and I know everyone else is. I'm pretty thrilled about what's gonna happen at Summer Sonic. Some of the people who've been keeping eyes out on what I've been saying on at SP, but there is gonna be like I'm gonna keep an eye out on the video feed and see what's going on with Summer Sonic and you know, cover it. I mean, I won't actually be there. I'm gonna be, but for SP in terms of covering on SP, kind of like my E3 coverage. Yeah, I'll be streaming updates on what's going on with Summer Sonic, but kind of I don't know how exactly I'm gonna do it yet, but
Oh, it's appreciated, man. It's really it's cool. I mean, you guys don't have to do anything like that, and to be honest, I don't really expect the coverage it gets really. But it's really nice to know that it kind of really resonates with the rest of the community. I mean, there are many things that happen in the community that I don't know, for better or for worse, divide, um, whether intentionally or not. There are some really good projects out there in the community, and sometimes the reaction from the fan base can be really polarizing, and it kind of makes me a bit sad because it's people do these projects for fun and because they really want to show their dedication to a franchise that has made them happy for so many years. They want to give back to what the excitement and passion they've had. And we do that with Summer of Sonic, and we try and let people channel that so the event becomes the fans rather than me on a stage going, aren't I great? It's more the people that turn up making friends. Summer of Sonic is their event, it's not mine. It's not out the organizers, it's not Sega's, it's the fans. I'm a fan as well, don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, organizer, that you know what I mean. I'm just gibbering now. But Sonic seems to be a really weird anomaly because you would think that inviting Sonic fans, of which there's no way of gauging before they enter, so there are so many different kinds of Sonic fans. Those who only like the comics, those who think modern Sonic's better than classic, those who think that classic's the only way. God forbid, Sonic X fans. There's a whole range of Sonic fans that come to that are out there. And when you make an event like a proper convention, that's hey, no matter what kind of Sonic fan you are, come along. Surely you're asking for trouble. Surely you're asking for just a big geeky riot. Like How dare you like Sally Acorn? It's Amy Rose. So I expected many a bust up, but it's just not happened. Everyone who has turned up, we all have fun. I can go on stage and we can rip the shit out of Sonic 06. And even though there are Sonic 06 fans out there, and I'm not begrudging it, we don't take the piss out of Sonic 06 because we want to piss off those who do like it. We take the piss out of it because it's crap. Because it's quite funny to take the piss out of it. And they get that, in a social environment like Summer of Sonic, they don't become keyboard warriors. When you make a passing joke on TSS about Sonic 06, for example, you see a lot of people in the comments going, well, actually, I like Sonic 06. I don't see why there's all this continued hate for Sonic 06. It's like, mate, think about it. Honestly, it's crap. But like generally, it's like, why do people get up in arms about something that's meant to be like a light-hearted joke? Like we all love Sonic equally, the franchise. We should kind of laugh about bits you love, bits you hate. So
Yeah.
for us to be able to do that, hold an event, and not have people at each other's throats through things that through differences in each other or just through things that we say on stage. It's something. People come out being really, really great friends with each other, and it's I guess it's in spite of their differences. Like
Yeah.
modern Sonic fans living with classic Sonic fans, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, to quote Ghostbusters. But
I mean, Summer of Sonic it's like no other Sonic convention that's around. Even I don't think even Sonic Boom compares to it in its own. Like it does have some things that Summer Sonic doesn't have, but there's a lot of things Summer Sonic has that Sonic Boom doesn't. It's mostly just, Sonic Boom. It's good in its own way, is the best way to put it. In its own fashionable way, it's good. Just like it's a great convention. Just like Summer Sonic is great in its own way. That's probably the best way to put it, is that both conventions are good in their own respective fashions, and that's what makes them so unique.
I think what's brilliant to see is that um, you do get the odd dissenting voice, but by and large, no one's really compared Summer of Sonic and Sonic Boom together, and that's absolutely the right attitude to take, because at the end of the day, if you do take that stance, what is your point? Why
Yeah,
have you got something against American fans enjoying a day hanging out with each other? I mean, I remember getting the invitation to Sonic Boom, the first one last year, and Aaron Weber, he was community manager at Sega of America. Now he's a lead producer. But I remember getting the email from him, and it was really cool to be invited to such a thing. Really, first off, but I will always note the language in the email was basically Summer of Sonic was mentioned so many times in that invite email, insofar as when Aaron was trying to explain what Sonic Boom was and what they were trying to do with Sonic Boom. And, it was mostly mentioned in the context that we're not trying to be like Summer of Sonic. We're not trying to copy you. We're not trying to copy Summer of Sonic. And I'm just like, dude, it's fine. Honestly, obviously, if there's obviously I'm very protective of Summer of Sonic. It's essentially my baby. It's my idea. It's my concept. But by and large, I don't want anyone taking the piss with it. Right?
yeah,
I like the idea of people hanging out with each other. There have been people who have approached me in America saying, I'd like to do a Summer of Sonic in New York or something. And I'm like, well, you can do a show like Summer of Sonic in New York. I wouldn't be against it. I can give you advice if you need it, but you can't call it Summer of Sonic. And there are things that are kind of line crossing, but the general idea, like just having people hang out and just having a good show for those who like Sonic, I don't see any problem with that, honestly. Especially if it's not especially if it's from the official source. If Sega came up, Sega did come up to me and say, we want to do an official event that's trying to, in their words, emulate the success we've had. but not replicate it. And that was the best way to do it. SOA needed to do their own thing, and they have done their own thing with Sonic Boom, and it's an amazing night out. It's a great fun, and um, at the end of the day, I'm not going to begrudge anyone, and no one should begrudge anyone for trying to host an event that tries to just make people have fun. Um, and Sonic Boom is very genuine. You know, I
Yeah.
would understand. I would understand if people had turned around and said, "Well, Sonic Boom is an obvious cash in." They obviously looked at the Summer of Sonic when, well, we're going to try and do that. I don't know, charge people whatever, and make it, just a real cheap rip-off experience, and just play on the fact that Americans want to go to an event like this and do a half-assed job. I could understand if that was the complaint. Um, but it's not been the complaint because that's not what's been happening. Make America understand how to service their fans above all else, especially Aaron Weber. He's being a massive Sega fan himself. He knows how people, how fans tick, and I think it's so great that that Americans have an event of their own that they can go to. If they can't come to Summer of Sonic, they have Sonic Boom, and hell, I want to go to Sonic Boom this year. They've there's a ticket with my name on it. If I fly over, unfortunately, that's not happening anytime soon, unless I manage to seriously, I don't know, abuse my credit card. Unfortunately, but it sounds like an absolute riot, and at the end of the day, I'm not bothered about it. I don't see why anyone else should be. Just enjoy the night, just enjoy the day. It's it's a way it's a way that Sonic fans can hang out and have fun. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to think that Sonic Boom is just, you know, Summer Sonic in the US. It really isn't. Like I said, it's awesome in its own way, just like Summer Sonic is awesome and in its own way, and that's what matters. And I mean, they don't have a live feed like Summer Sonic does, but I mean, they don't need a live feed to be awesome. I mean, they have fun even without one.
Mm,
But
yeah, yeah. It was a great night last year. It also felt good actually to be an event like that. And I didn't and I was on the other side of the fence. I wasn't I wasn't the one organizing everything. So it was quite nice to be on that side of the fence and meet with fans. Really good about meeting American fans too. I was quite surprised how many people were there that were at my Sonic Stadium message board. They were like, "Hi, you Dreadknux?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah. Who are you?" And I'm so and so from SSMB. And I'm like, "Oh, hang on a minute, that's amazing." There were a lot of people that came up to me and just kind of said, "Oh, I'm from your forums," and I'm just like, "Whoa, something." I'm British. Some Sonic Stadium is considered a British resource. Some SMB is considered a British message board technically. Um, so to go to a completely different country and have people say, "Oh, I'm a really big fan of your site. I see it all the time, and I go on your forums and whatever." It's great. It's so cool. Um, but yeah, it. It's a great night.
yeah, there's no question in my mind that, Summer Sonic. I may not be able to go to Summer Sonic, but I already know I'm gonna be in the live stream watching the live feed just like I did last year, which when coincidentally Sonic Paradox just happened to be showing off Shorts 8 preview or
Mm,
Shorts 7 preview rather. Because at the time it was still considered, we didn't have a Volume 8 considered at the time. It was still considered Volume 7. Just Volume 8's such a big thing right now. I keep thinking Volume 8 instead of Volume 7 at the time. But Volume 7 was showing off a few shorts of it as a preview, and I remember like watching the live feed as it came on. And I remember having to bring up to one of the animators who had a short shown there, like, "Oh my God, did he show it? Did they show it? Did they show it yet? Did they show it yet?" And I like, No, they haven't shown it just yet. And then eventually they showed the short showed, and I had to go tell them, okay, you just missed them. And then I had to go back in the past feed after the show finished and show them exactly when it showed up in the first time. It was like, dear God, he's so thrilled about the.
It's it's one of those things where the fans, the creativity of the fans, we can really showcase like that side of things at events like that. And um, I I love showing off the Sonic Paradox stuff at Summer of Sonic, and I love getting Boozerman involved. I love Frogman's in briefs. There's some quality animations, and they really deserve to have that spotlight so that they can really kind of showcase what the Sonic community is capable of in terms of just comedy, satire, and just sheer animation skills. Like I just remember seeing so many different Sonic shorts from Sonic Paradox, and it's just a great feeling. You get to play this video and you see the crowd, like a bunch of Sonic fans, and they're roaring with laughter at every single joke that's being made at Sonic Paradox. They get it. You know, you I never think that the videos we're going to show from you guys or anyone else is going to particularly bomb. But you always kind of wonder before you show something for the first time, you think, how will the crowd take to it? It's going to be interesting to see. But there is never any disappointment at all when you show something like that. The Sonic shorts get an absolutely amazing response. Um, we One of the meetings I had after Summer of Sonic last year with Sega, it was like a kind of post mortem of the year and what how we think we did, what we could do better for this year, and all the rest of it. And one of the things that the Sega representative said was, um, obviously, she was like, I loved seeing those videos. Like being a general PR manager for Sega Europe. They're not big. Some of the people that work there and are involved aren't massive Sonic fans themselves. Like they know of the franchise, they know an awful lot about it, but they don't know like they don't know um, all the ins and outs and all the little nuances that the jokes and Paradox and Frogman stuff really hit on. So I was getting that feedback from one of the PR people going, it was really great seeing everyone having such fun, but there was like these videos, and I was looking up and I was like, I didn't get any of it really. It was just like someone talking and saying some stuff, but everyone seemed to love it. They really, they laughed at everything, and I was just thinking, I felt a bit left out because I don't know any of it. I think that that is a good example of why Sega trusts us quite a lot when it comes to the partnership and organization that we do, because they they know that we know community members and sites like Paradox who know how to put on a good time, and we know how to put on a good time ourselves. And they let us. We've proven ourselves. We've shown with Summer of Sonic in the past that we can have a really fun day and we can put on a hell of a show on stage. So they're just like, okay, even though we don't get this joke or even though we don't get this video, just run it. You know what you're doing. People love it.
Yeah,
Really have that support as well. But yeah,
yeah.
generally, products never had a problem. They're amazing. You guys are amazing, amazing videos, and always get an amazing response from the crowd.
Apparently, they had the videos from last year were just downright hilarious, according to the from the way it's sounding. They were laughing at the crowd was laughing at the videos from the preview from last year, and of course the Sonic Heroes in Brief that was
No,
shown.
no, honestly, it was amazing. My memory gets a bit blurred from year to year, so forgive me if I get this wrong. But I think last year, one of the shorts was um, one of the sketches in the shorts was for Mario and Sonic, and it was Sonic doing a dive in the Olympic pool, and everyone gives him marks, and they say, "Oh, let's go back to Sonic and see how he reacted to these scores," and it's an obvious joke, Sonic can't swim, but it's really fun. It's like, how does this game where they're swimming then? And you just see Sonic out of the water going duh, 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 and he's like, see Mario with a life ring, throws it to Sonic, and he grabs it, and he's just like, ah. And then because Sonic collects rings, it just disappeared, and then it just went back to drowning again. And it's those kinds of visual gags as well that work really well in a convention environment, just in general. But that sketch in particular, like, that's just one example of a sketch that I just found absolutely hilarious. I'm like that those visual gags are amazing. Um, and also like uppercutted Robotnik and made him drown in the pool as well. It was just a laugh that Eggman had, and it was just going oh. That's
Yeah, it was Cacti that made both of those.
it.
Um, it was from Volume 5 actually.
Right, I know we definitely played it one year.
Yeah,
It might not.
I think it was 2009 or 2010.
Yeah, probably. My memory's shot, like I said, so
Yeah.
apologies for that. Yeah, that kind of stuff, the whole thing, just really great, really great.
I
But yeah,
I suppose it's blatantly obvious though to mention that yes, indeed, the shorts that were shown last year are still being considered in a future volume. I'll say this much. They are still being considered. So even though we showed them at, they were shown at Summer Sonic, we didn't dump them at all. You know, the ones that were shown last year, they're still in existence. They're still around. It's just, we kind of had to deal with A, people wanting us to bring out the volume so soon, and two, Wax ended up being a machine and ended up making like a billion shorts of his own in like a month's time. He ended
mm,
up deciding, you know what, let's just go ahead and release a bunch of Wax's shorts as Volume 7, and that's what happened. But, you know, it's really funny to see how much it's evolved over the years. You can kind of see, considering I think 2008 was the only year that Sonic Paradox didn't have a animation. Other than that, in 2010, I believe. I could be
mm.
wrong, but I think this.
We didn't really show any animations in 2008, so I think the only thing we had on a projector um was a race of Sonic 3 and Knuckles that I took part in, and I criminally lost quite. Um, so we'll gloss over that. Yeah, yeah. Summer Sonic. Um, I guess to recap the news thing that we referenced earlier. 200 tickets, Wave Two, going out next Friday, 6 p.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. is the UK time. So please enjoy and try and
Yeah.
get tickets. And if you can't get tickets, I'm really, 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 really very sorry, but please don't blame me because that's not nice.
That's not nice. That is not nice, young squires.
It's not nice. It's gonna be mean if you do that.
You'll be
Don't have a go at me.
you'll be really, really, really mean if you do that.
And
Why? But
yeah,
but yeah. Um it's a fun fact. Wax did show actually the preview that was shown at Summer Sonic. He showed his copy in the Sonic Parrot this very stream actually right afterwards. I think it was just after the convention ended. Like I think it's 30 minutes to an hour later, but yeah. I was there in the video feed as everything was being shown, and I plan to be there in the video feed again this year. So, I mean, I don't know how, like, I'm sure I'll be hidden within a big, huge freaking amount of people. There's probably be like 1,000 people, who knows, in that live stream, but uh,
yeah.
I'll be among them. I can now speak in the I can finally speak in the stream now this time though, because I finally have an account, so which is what I
Hooray.
didn't have last year, so
Awesome. Cool.
but yeah, I'm pretty thrilled for Summer Sonic, and I can probably say speak for everyone else that that's in the chat right now that they're also looking forward to it, and hopefully there's no pigeons this year.
It's England. There will be pigeons. I'm pretty stoked that everyone's gonna really excited for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just hope put on a really awesome show for you guys.
Yep. But yeah, probably best to move on with the next topics because it's hard to believe it's been 2.5 hours and we're only in heading into topic 3 out of 10 now.
Should we like one word responses?
Well, we can go as quickly as we want. But yeah, pretty much Sega's True Blue Initiative came back again, apparently because of episode 2.
All that. What did you get the first? Oh, that was it. You got your name in something. What did you get your name in? Did you get your name in the credits? If you got bought, we should probably actually put this in context. Sonic 4 Episode 1, the True Blue Initiative was if you bought all copies of the game on all the different platforms, and showed receipts for it, you got a prize, which was you got a mention on a video, didn't you? On a Sega blog video, like
Something like that.
a list of people you were put into this arbitrary um, True Blue Initiative club, and I don't know. I think you got something else in the episode 1 initiative, but you might not either. I wasn't really paying attention because I wasn't gonna buy 4 copies of the same day.
Yeah. I do believe it's kind of similar with this episode, but I believe it's only like 3 to 4 copies that you'd have to get this time, and not all of them. And I believe the
Yeah.
third one is a video of the you being mentioned in the Sake of America community team and video, and then if you get even another copy, you can get a poster with signature of your choice or something like that, which is all right. I mean, I don't know if it would be worth buying four, 3, 4 different games, 3, 4 different, the same, 3, 4 different platforms to the same game, but
Hey, it's clever though. I mean,
yeah,
regardless of hack you might think the prize is, um, you know, people do that.
yeah,
It's it's weird. I'm an adult now, so I just don't have the money to spend on multiple copies of the same game for one. Also, I'd like to think I've already kind of paid my community dues, my Sonic fan proof dues. But I don't think buying multiple copies of the game for me is going to make me stand up and say I've proved it to everyone I'm a real Sonic fan. I think I'll just keep doing Summer Sonic, but
yeah,
it's good. You only have to buy 3 copies for this episode because it's out on like a million different platforms, isn't it, this year?
yeah. It's on like some Tyrian phones. It's on iOS. It's on Steam. It's on 360. It's on PS3.
It's even on Android. Lol.
Yes. For all we know, it's gonna be on a billboard somewhere in San Francisco. Oh wait. Um. Yeah, it's quite a few platforms, but I guess I guess this isn't really a bad thing. I mean, it's still nice to see they're interacting with the fans still, despite, all the problems they've been having with layoffs and everything, but I mean, they're still sticking around with the interaction with the fans, and that's pretty cool. Having contests and everything. Is it?
It's important. It's important to have. It's important to have. Um, I mean, in the UK or Europe, the community department there is pretty much dead now. There's no one there. However, it's kind of counter for that. Sake of America has taken extra workload on board, so you've got Kelly and Julian, and they're doing extra work to accommodate European fans as well as American fans. So I think they're really doing a good job of keeping that community management dream alive. I just hope that at some point down the line, Sega will be able to reintroduce a localized community management team at Sega Europe for the European side of things. Because I think as well as Kelly and Julian are doing a fantastic job at handling everything outside of their territory, I think they would even agree that a localized effort is just as important as having just any effort at all.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's but at least, like you said, they haven't stopped with the interaction with the fans, and that's important. Interacting with the fans is very, very, very uh, important thing to bear in mind. I mean, it's 21st century. It's marketing now. You're not a company that's in the loop if you're not at least dedicating some of your time interacting directly with your consumers in that kind of friendly way. So um, I'll make it sound all businessy, but the harsh reality is, Sega is a business. They have to do that to get sales. In this day and age, um, a large chunk of it is, committing fan service. And what better way to do fan service than directly interacting with your fans? So um, that's one reason why you see a hell of a lot of fans for things like Blizzard games. They directly interact with their communities and stuff. BioWare, they tend to do that a lot as well. Um, you know, it's
Yeah.
business as well as interacting with fans. And now the two are kind of married. And basically, there's two sides to this. Sega maintaining the community department element. Sorry, is important for us because we get that level of interaction. It's also important for them as a business because especially they're moving in towards more of a digital presence as they've seen in their press releases. So you're not going to get anywhere in a digital space if you're not marketing digital fashion. So it's good that they've kept it. It's good.
Yeah, it is. It's good that they keep this fan interaction, as I said. And I mean, even though they're doing something as huge as this, where you have to get many platforms of the game, it's better than nothing. I mean, it'd be much worse if they just didn't interact with us at all, and then it would really have been a problem. But yeah, this is fair, I guess. I mean, like I said, it's better than nothing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I what I find to what I find pretty surprising in regards to what Ken said on episode one is that he said that, as we move on to the next topic, by the way, is that it is that it sold best on PS3. Episode one did.
Did it? Oh,
Yeah. There was actually an article about it on Sonic Stadium, but I believe it was not you that made it. I think it was either uh
oh
Vizard
my.
or Hogfather that did it, but
Yeah.
um.
Well, I think for someone who owns fan site, you think you'd know. Shamed. Um, no, I have heard words to that effect, but I haven't read. Oh my god, I haven't actually read the news article. Um, I should pay more attention to my site, shouldn't I? But no, it's a funny one. That doesn't surprise me at all, though. In a way, um, it's interesting to know. It's not altogether surprising. It reminds me actually of an interview I had a couple of weeks ago with Sumo Digital for the next Sonic All Stars Racing. Oh man, now
Oh. Um, I think I lost my connection tanked. What the hell? Yeah, my connection went out, guys. So you're hearing kind of behind the scenes thing here. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. This is not good, this is not good, this is not good. I really, really hate this connection. Um, fuck. Oh my god. Give me just a moment. Great. This is Yeah, this is kind of a problem here. Um, I'm really, really, really not too pleased about the connection going out. I gotta restart the call. Hopes that the stream is still recording. It is. But oh my god, this is bad. 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 I'm really sick of this connection. I am really sick of this connection. It's attempting to reconnect. Oh my god. I don't know if this is still recording. Come on, please reconnect. Please reconnect already. Come on. Come on. God damn it. If sort of freaking god, I'm gonna kick this freaking connection's ass. Come on. Come on. Connect already. Oh my god. Sun's gonna be on still. I hope this guys in the stream are gonna be on still. Uh, piece of shit connection. Piece of shit connection. Piece of shit connection. Come on. This connection could not take its sweet old time coming back up. Come on. Oh my god, this is so bad. This was my worst fear. Was that it would do this. This was my first worst fear. This was my worst fear. This was my worst fear. Like I said, it's still recording, so you guys can still hear me. You can hear me read, so this is something that's my YouTube exclusive. Me panicking. Oh my god, come fucking on. I'm still sick of this connection doing this. Words cannot express how pissed off I am at this connection. It's like, it does this all the time where it picks the worst moments when I'm in a Skype call, when I'm downloading something. It does this. And now it's done it when I've done a show. This is lovely. This is very, very lovely. Come on. It's still off. Okay, I'm finally going live again. I hope. Let me see. Come on. It's still reconnecting. Okay, okay,
Oh,
there we are. My connection just went down the shitter. Um, my
no worries,
apologies.
dude.
My apologies.
It's okay.
I might have to restart the stream so it'll actually stream live again, but
It's all
um,
good. Just let me know when.
yeah, I apologize a lot for that. I didn't
No,
expect it
no
to
problem,
do
mate.
that.
Happens.
Like, it's the first time I've ever done that in the middle of the show. Yeah, I'm gonna have to redo the stream anyway, so um, I'm gonna have to recombine these two then, Joy. But oh well. Let me do the. I'll stop and restart it.